Right. That should be everything. I gotta keep my throat nice and lubricated today. Doing a lot of reading. Strangely, the reading streams, the VN streams, are always the most strenuous to do. It's because I can't just shoot the shit. It always has to be like projecting the voice and all that goodness. But, I, for one, am sad there is no longer any fursuit. The fursuit's still in the game, but like she's not in the I want to put her back in. Maybe there's an ending where we can put her back in the suit. Go back in the suit, Tama. All right. Well, I don't know about all y'all, but my clock currently says noon. So we're gonna play some more of this game. I think we have to start with Maria here, since she is no longer in the cat suit. I think we need to figure out why. The sales clerk continues to stare. Oh wait, right. This is the only one that's done in first person. That's right. The sales clerk continues to stare at me. You know, you look really familiar, he says. Huh? Really? I perk up at that. Maybe I can find out something about who I am. Yeah, you totally look like some pop singer or TV personality. Just can't remember who. Oh, that's what you meant. My shoulders slump in disappointment. Look, if you're trying to flatter me, how about a discount on the necklace? Sure, okay. I mean, it's just something I picked up off the side of the road. I mean... The sales clerk stammers for a moment. Okay, how about I take off 10,000? 30,000 and it's yours. You mean it? That perks me right back up. I guess I'm easy to please. Thanks, game. That sales clerk has a look going on. The sales clerk has a really... You know what? I feel like this is not something I get to praise very often in a video game, but the costumer for this game, the person whose job it was to clothe and costume the actors for this game, did a phenomenal job of making everyone very bold and distinct. That's a rare thumbs up I get to deliver. Sure, you look like you might need to buy some new clothes, too. He points to my sweater. Oh, it's ripped. There's a tiny tear in the left shoulder. So what do you want to do about the cat? The sales clerk adds. Want me to dispose of it for you? He gestures at my costume with his jaw. Oh, right. What should I do about it? I feel a little guilty about asking him to go out of his way. Maybe I should deal with it myself. He obviously wants to help me. Maybe as well have him get rid of the costume too. He obviously wants to help me. Might as well have him get rid of the costume too. Sure, if you don't mind, I say. pay him the 30,000 yen, take the necklace, and leave the knick-knack shop. Also, I know I responded to you, Evie, but also, hi. Hey, hope you're having a good day. Yo! Shout out to Sega. They're gonna get big someday. Just you wait. So cool of Spike Chunsoft to go out of their way to feature Sega in their game here. That's really kind of them. A few minutes later, near the station, I spot a sort of mall. Checking the directory by the entrance, I see that it's got several clothing shops and an arcade inside. They probably sell shirts in there. I hurry on inside. The interior of the building is like a twisting maze of corridors, all of them overflowing with people. I take the escalator to the second floor and find myself amidst some rows of arcade games. I was trying to get to the fashion area, but I must have gone the wrong way. I love how we keep running into him trying to run away from the debt collectors throughout the entire, like, everyone else just runs into him around town. Seeing the last couple of streams to this game, so I don't know what's going on outside of Tama not being in the suit anymore. That's about it, really, is that Tama's not in the suit. There's a super assassin named Kanan running around that we don't know about. And someone in the police department has turned coat and is helping the organization that is trying to kidnap the lady. Can't believe it cost 30,000 yen to unlock the human woman character. Hi, Henry. Yeah, pretty much. Although her actress has still been around for the entire time, just playing, you know, the other. Excuse me, you haven't seen a lost little girl, have you? I turn to see a miserable-looking middle-aged man peering at me anxiously. This is Teru Toyama. He got separated from his daughter Hana while running from debt collectors. He's on edge, worried that the men who are after him might take Hana hostage. Naturally, going to an arcade is my first stop. Have you seen her? A little girl about 10 years old. A girl around 10? Have I seen her? What's her name? Hana. Hana Toyama. Hana? Oh, that's a pretty name. So, she's about yay tall. The man launches into a rapid-fire explanation, describing the girl's features, hair, and clothes. I got separated from her around Center Guy. She likes this place, so I thought maybe she'd come here. Center Guy? Well, that's right. Now I remember. This is the guy I bumped into earlier in the afternoon while I was racing around in the cat costume. He got separated from his daughter? Oh no, if she did come here, it's not going to be easy to find her in the midst of these crowds. Are you sure she didn't go back home? I ask. Well, there's this problem, he mutters. Going home isn't really an option. Well, that's not really an explanation now, is it? Why play human woman when you can play furry cat girl? Right? There should be an option to put Tama back in the suit. I want to play through I don't care if it's not canon. Let me play through the rest of the game with Tama in the suit. Sorry to bother you. I'll look around a little bit more. And with that, Hana's father disappears into the crowd. I leave the arcade and head for the fashion area. Oh no! Oh no! Mr. Yanagashita found the old issues of the 4-star general that had the scratch cards in them. Oh no, Mr. Yanagashita. I bump into Mr. Yanagashita in a hallway lined with photo booths. Huh, boss? What is he doing in a place like this? Oh, Tama, you're out of the suit! For some reason, he's got a bunch of magazines strewn across the floor. Yeah, I finally managed to get it off. Well, that's good. I wish you could have been at the sales demo without your face hidden away. Well, what are you doing? You mentioned something about a creek earlier. Are you going on a trip? Yeah, I was, but then I remembered something important. I get motion sickness or something fierce. He sounds like kind of proud of himself. So yeah, no trips for me. Heck, I don't even want to think about that now. What about the money you owe? I ask, curious. Well, as it happens, I think I may have found my solution. He brings a hand to his mouth and giggles. Right here. I found a great way to make a killing. To earn a lot of money, usually in a very short time, and or with little effort. The phrase originated in the 19th century in reference to hunters who were paid based on the number of kills they made. This man has been cursed. Everything about him has been cursed. Look up his actor at some point and read about his history, and then it'll be like, wow, this man cannot get a break. He opens the magazine he's holding to reveal a scratch card with a potential 100,000 yen prize. Just gotta scratch off one of these to win 100,000 yen. All I need is 30 of them, and my debt's squared away. Each magazine I can nab is more money for me. Despite his enthusiasm, his story doesn't quite add up. Are these scratch cards guaranteed to win? No, of course not. It's a lottery sort of thing. Well, then having 30 copies of the magazine is hardly a foolproof solution. Quite the opposite, in fact, but I hold my tongue. Okay then, now that my goddess of fortune Tom is here, let me hurry and scratch these suckers off. Yanagashita begins fervently scratching away at the first card with a coin. Oh, that one's a loser. Maybe the next one. Oh no, and he's not even doing it. Oh no, that's horrible. And this, friends, is what we call dramatic irony. Because if you remember back, the whole reason that Minorikawa has been roped in to try to fill out the issue of 4-star general is because they lost so much money on these specific scratch tickets that you can look through and that you can basically cheat at because you can see from the other side where the winning places are. Oh, no. If you had just taken one more second, Mr. Yanagashita. Soon he's down to just one last magazine. You're not a very lucky person, are you? Oh, please don't say that. Mr. Yanagashita looks like he's on the verge of tears. I stare at one of the losing scratch cards. You know, if you could just see the symbols through the card, you'd win for sure, I say jokingly. I hold the card up to the light. When I do, I really can see the symbols through the card. Boss, I think I might have just... Shush! He interrupts me before I can share my shocking discovery. I look at him in surprise. Mr. Yanagashita has gone all pale. Quiet, Tama. These guys are here. He shoves me into a photo booth. Those guys? The debt collectors. He hisses. They just do not give up. He clutches the sides of his head. Peeking out of the booth, I spot a pair of men who look pretty rough around the edges. Is it those two? Shh, not so loud. The men are looking around and they're getting closer and closer. What do I do? What do I do? Mr. Yanagashita starts getting panicky. Tama, what do I do? I have no idea. I have no horse in this race. Oh, this is not good. This is not good. Mr. Yanagashita whimpers. Do we throw Mr. Yanagashita to the wolves? I mean, we've been paid. Our job is done, right? Like, we can wash our hands of this and walk away, I think. Or this guy gave me a job, so we kind of owe him. No, we don't kind of owe him for giving us a job. He gave us a job, so he owes us the money. We performed the work. That's not how this works. What's up, Vivian? Oh, you're posing like Mr. Yanagashita. Yeah. Did we ever figure out what happened to it? Oh, right, we kicked him. That's what happened. That's why he's got the Band-Aids on. We kicked his face. We'll help him find a better place to hide. This guy gave me a job, so I kind of owe him. I'll look around for a better place for the two of us to hide. Unfortunately, I don't really see anywhere that might work. It might be safest staying right where we are. Stay nice and still and we'll be fine, I whisper. Yeah, you're probably right. Curtain is drawn so people can't see inside, but just to keep up appearances, we start taking photos as if we're normal customers. I really don't hope they don't look in here, Mr. Yanagashita murmurs. What do we do if they find us? They won't. Just don't worry. Despite my reassurances, it was a while before he stopped trembling, though. And then he said, "You know, Tama, they say that when a man and a woman meet under unusual circumstances, it's easy for them to fall in love." Uh-huh. Do they now? They do. Going through an extreme situation together makes you fall for each other. So, want to get married? Nope. No way. Yeah, I'm not having this conversation. Anyway, I think they're gone now. The debt collectors, I mean. Mr. Yanagashita peeks out and quickly scans the surrounding area. They're gone? Oh, they're gone. So long, losers. Sphere is given away to a burst of manic energy. Guess I'm in the clear now. Thanks, Tama. Go on, let's take some commemorative photos. Huh? To commemorate what, exactly? Come on, it'll be fun. Okay, big smile now. Ready, cheese, butter, margarine. BFFs, broke friends forever. I'd say fuck your boss, but I think Yanagashita already has fucked his life enough on his own, right? Like, yeah, fuck your. Yes, fuck your boss, but also like, I feel like Mr. Yanagashita is just. He's had enough, man. Just let him have the day off. And after that, I part ways with Mr. Yanagashita and head to a different floor. I don't tell him about being able to see through the scratch cards, though. That guy really ought to develop a proper work ethic. Shots fired. Hey, come on, wait up! I'm on the escalator to the 3rd floor when I hear someone shouting. Figured someone yelling to their kid, but when I turn to look, I see a young man I don't recognize staring right at me. Where are you? Oh, I know who this. Where are you going? It's not safe for us to get too separated. What? Who's this weirdo? This some new pickup trick or something? Achi, no. I rush up the escalator to get away from the guy. I get to the restaurant section of the 4th floor. I'm hit with a sudden pang of hunger. Come to think of it, I haven't eaten all day. I'm so hungry, I mutter to myself as I walk around. What should I eat? And then I spot Chiri coming out of a Chinese restaurant. Huh? Hey, Chiri! She turns to look at me confused. And who are you? Oh, it's me. It's Tama. Ah, I thought I recognized that voice. She replies with a nod. Did you eat again? I ask. Well, yeah, but then they kicked me out. Isn't that just terrible? She looks pretty displeased. I came here because they said it was an all-you-can-eat, but then they closed shop because they ran out of food. Okay, I'm not a fan of them continuing to harp on the Chiri overeats joke, but this one image right here, this one photo of the lady doing the fucking like almost like a ring pose, be like, never come back. That's a pretty good one. Oh wow, you're right. I spot one of the restaurant staff hanging a close sign on the front door. She looks ready to murder someone in the background there. The blurry Sonic in the background staring menacingly at the human woman. Man, now my early afternoon snack is ruined. Afternoon snack? And an all-you-can-eat buffet? Can't help but stare at Chiri's midsection, amazed by what that stomach is capable of. By the way, have you seen the boss? She asked. I thought he'd finally accept that he needs to buckle down and work, but he's got some new crazy scheme. Guess the guy's never gonna learn. I figure nothing good's gonna come from associating with him, so I'd be careful if I were you, too. Huh. Done with her little rant, Chiri says goodbye and heads off among the restaurants. Hitomi! Who said that? Were they talking to me? Oh no, this is not Achi anymore. I turn to see a businessman, some sort of staring in my direction. Like everyone I've run into today, I don't recognize him. For some reason, though, I feel relaxed in his presence. Is that you, Hitomi? Hitomi? Could that be my name? Or are you Maria? No, As I fumble for words, the man peers at me with an obvious concern. What are you doing in a place like this? We need to get you back home. Your parents are worried sick. My parents? Did someone file a missing person report while I've been wandering around with my amnesia? The man leads the way, and I will follow. And then she was never heard from again. Again, with like the vertical shots. I didn't know I wanted these in a VN, and then I've seen one with like nothing, like with like so many of them, and I'm like, wow, these are good. We leave the Gigo building, but head down a narrow alleyway, and then the man suddenly stops. I feel a jolt of anxiety as I notice something gleaming in his hand. It doesn't matter which of the two you are. You're both in the way. He mutters, almost as if talking to himself. And then we fucking die. Right after that, everything goes dark. RIP. After meeting a man who seemed to know her on the restaurant level, our heroine hoped to find out more about her past. Instead, she wound up getting attacked in an alleyway. She came to pass because she was avoiding that young man who mistook her for Hitomi. If he hadn't come shouting after her, she would have gone on to buy some clothes as she originally intended. Okay, so we gotta make Achi not shout out at her. Got it. Makes sense. All right. I guess we could hop right over to Achi's then, since that he seems to be the one who's in the way here. But I kind of want to do more of Osawa's route. Of all the characters' individual routes so far, Osawa has been the most interesting to me personally. So I kind of want to see more of his. I do not want others intruding into my domain. Accordingly, I do not intrude on others. That is how I've lived my life, and that is how I've forged my sense of calm. But something has begun to drive me mad. The boundaries between myself and others have started to collapse. I don't like it. I don't like it at all. I will become something other than myself, and that is one thing I fear I could never bear. Oh, no, you don't! Kajiwara tackled Tanaka as he strode toward the door. The two men collapsed in a heap in the front entryway. Hey, Tanaka barked. What are you doing? Hold still. Kajiwara ran his bug tracker over Tanaka's body. It began beeping loudly. Aha! Kajiwara pulled off Tanaka's necktie clip. It's a listening device. Tanaka's face went pale. Where did you get this? Kajiwara demanded. Well... Tanaka trailed off into silence. I gave it to him. It was I who had appeared on the second floor landing. You were listening in? Osawa asked brokenly. Ma'am, Kajiwara said, would you mind explaining this? For once, he seemed deadly serious. It's barely able to hear a thing. That's what I get for going with something so cheap. I held out a dangling earpiece. When and where did you get that? Earlier today when I left to do some shopping. And why did you plant a listening device on Mr. Tanaka? Kajiwara asked. That's what I want to know, Tanaka chimed in. Why would you do this, Miss Osawa? He was trembling. You were outside emailing someone earlier, weren't you, Mr. Tanaka? I saw you from the window. Emailing? Kajiwara looked into Tanaka's face. I nodded. He came back into the house shortly afterward, and I asked him where he'd gone. And what do you think he said, huh? She was practically gloating, playing to her little audience. She began stalking down the stairs. He said he'd gone to check on something at the lab, despite the fact that he was out on the yard there fiddling with his phone the whole time. So I figured, If I bugged him, and he might show his true colors, and... Enough. Osawa cut his wife off. Tanaka had been emailing Hitomi, of course, but he couldn't reveal that now. I think I get what happened here, Kajiwara interposed. He folded his arms. Your wife thought that Mr. Tanaka was in contact with the kidnappers, and so she planted a listening device on him. The detective peered at Tanaka. Who were you emailing, sir? Yeah, that's right, I chirped. Show us your phone, Mr. Tanaka. Let us see what you were really up to. Or is there some reason you don't want to show us? Osawa started to panic. If the police checked that cell phone, they'd find the emails from Hitomi. And if the kidnappers somehow found out about that, Maria's life would be in danger. But I was still relentlessly advancing on Tanaka. Stop this. Darling? She turned to him in surprise. Tanaka was sending emails on my behalf, Osawa said. I asked him to do it. And just who was he emailing? It was... He needed to think of a lie fast. Someone from work, I guess, is the... Someone from work. But sir, Kajiwara was quick to butt in. Don't you have a computer in your study? Couldn't you have just sent the emails yourself? The detective had to choose now of all times to actually be perceptive. I do, but my computer was having problems sending email. I'm not sure what the issue was. The point is that there's no reason for worry about Tanaka's emails. There just isn't. I'm telling you. It's a terrible excuse, but he just had to keep it up. Anyway, I think we can say we're done here, Osawa said, and he opened the front door. If you don't mind, I've asked Tanaka to run some errands for me. Tanaka gave him a quick bow and headed out the door. Hey, wait! I started to go after him. Just calm down, Osawa barred the way. There's no way he's connected to the kidnappers. Can't you see that? His voice cracked and he shuddered at the sudden rush of emotion. There, sir, Kajiwara said consolingly. She's just deeply worried about your daughter. I turned around and marched back upstairs. But still, if she is that worried, giving a tie clip as a gift seems a bit... A tie clip, a clothing accessory meant to hold one's necktie in place. In the old days, they were a quintessential part of the salaryman's outfit, along with cufflinks and the company badge. Recently, tie clips have come back into vogue with some older men, now more frequently referred to as tie bars. Kajiwara's muttering trailed off. What do you mean? Osawa asked. That's nothing. Nothing important. The detective waved a hand dismissively, but there had been a definite note of suspicion in his voice. Well, back to work. Kajiwara headed back into the living room. God, Kajiwara is the weirdest fucking character in this game still. He makes me just so viscerally uncomfortable at all times. Osawa returned to his study and sat in front of his computer. He had no desire to be in the presence of detectives who now crowded his living room. The Ayakamiki fan forum for people 40 and over was still open on his monitor. He reloaded the page and saw that his earlier thread had gotten a reply. It was from Pretty Honey, a regular contributor to Osawa's threads. The username of someone who posts regularly on the Ayakamiki fan forum. Seems to know a lot about agriculture and the police, as evidenced by statements such as, if the world were a farm with 100 people, as well as a tendency to post another site called the 87th Precinct Telecommunity. Incidentally, Shinya Kano's girlfriend, Rumi, also posts to the 87th Precinct Telecommunity from time to time. She has just had several massive arguments with Pretty Honey there, with the latter criticizing the police for not doing their job, while Rumi insists that the police work is very difficult and deserves more credit. Okay, so we'll be able to jump to Kano from here later. I'm opposed to the idea of Ayakamiki expanding into America. Grrr. She should be able to enjoy the successes she's earned in Japan without having to struggle overseas. Aya has done so much for us. I'd like her to keep supporting Japan forever. Uh-huh. Yeah. Because that one's like the two fists cheering and a happy. Yeah. The message was festooned with the sort of emoticons that a young girl might use. Pretty Honey claimed to be a 19-year-old female college student. Although the community was meant for Aya Kamiki fans 40 and over, the settings allowed anyone to post there. The only young woman among the members, however, was Pretty Honey. The thread continued. By the way, have you tried the Aya fortune teller yet? There's a link below. Sparkle. Fortune telling, huh? The practice of determining a person's future, luck, or life events using cards, horoscopes, and or other methods of divination. Most people believe such prognostication when it foretells something good, and don't believe it when the outlook is bad. That is about as much faith in fortune telling as someone should have. Wow. Shots really coming out for fortune tellers here. Let's see the video. Wow. That was vital. That was... I am so glad someone spent the time to make sure that video was made and then put in the tip section of this video game. Osawa stared. Should he ask it whether Mario was safe? If it gave him a good answer, he'd believe it. If it were a bad answer, he wouldn't. Might be worth a shot just for the peace of mind it would bring. He clicked the link and the Aya fortune teller page came up. It asked you to enter your birth date and sex, and then Aya Kamiki would offer her advice. Osawa followed the instructions, entering his date of birth, selecting male, and then clicking next. A few seconds later, his fortune was displayed. You're a very work-minded person. He'd hoped for some insight on Mario, but instead it was just a write-up about his personality. You'd never be able to get by without the devoted support of those around you, but you probably don't realize that, do you? It's a big mistake to think you can get through all of life's challenges on your own. There's nothing cool about being ignorant. If you don't get over your indifference to the world might start to harbor quite a grudge. Find a way to connect more deeply with the people around you and start living a better life before it's too late. And just do that, and you're sure to have a wonderful future ahead. Famous people who got your result: Shinosuke Orai, Shinosuke Orai, playwright. The head of the Wandering Angels Theater troupe. He has an interview and appointment with Minoru Minorikawa at 2:30 this afternoon. Osawa couldn't help but feel that the advice was painfully appropriate. He went back to the forum and replied to Pretty Honey. Nice to hear from you again, Pretty Honey. I definitely know how you feel about Aya Kamiki being ours. Still, I'm confident she's got what it takes to persevere and succeed in America. And if she does fail, well, all of us in Japan will be here to welcome her back all the same. Guess this voyage to America I've concocted just has me a little worked up. Osawa clicked post and leaned back in his chair. The tips animations are the best thing in this game. They're so extra and for no reason. Mr. Osawa. Mr. Osawa. It was Kajiwara shouting from outside the door. First the toilet, then lunch. What is it now? There's been a development in the case. Please join us in the living room. We have important matters to discuss. Kajiwara had his detective face on. I love the framing of this shot here, with everyone with their laptops all open in order, all of them typing away with like similar cups of tea, right? And then there's just I at the very back of the table just staring. That's a great... Damn. You know, they could have phoned a lot of this game in and it would have still been awesome because the concept behind it is really good. But They went the extra fucking mile, and they didn't need to. And I'm really happy they did. When Osawa entered the living room, I was already there looking stern and solemn. Now that you're both here, Kajiwara said, allow me to share what we know. We've identified a location that appears to be the Syndicate's hideout. You have? What about Maria? Is she there? Osawa exclaimed. We still haven't been able to ascertain whether your daughter is safe. Well then, what were these important matters you needed to discuss? Osawa felt a wave of anxiety rush through him. The hideout in question is a condominium in Hiru, and it's owned by... By whom? Mr. Osawa, please calm down. Tell me! Go on, out with it! Kajiwara took a deep breath. The residence is owned by Mamoru Tanaka. Osawa was speechless. He couldn't process what he was hearing. Tanaka? Lies! I shrieked. Just what are you implying? That Mr. Tanaka is the kidnapper? Where is your proof? With all due respect, ma'am, weren't you suspicious of Mr. Tanaka yourself? I suppose, but... You did go so far as to stick a listening device on him. Flustered, I withdrew into a vacant silence. The sudden ringing of the phone startled everyone in the room. Was that Tanaka? No, it couldn't be. There was no way. The phone was wiretapped. The detective wearing the headset nodded to Kajiwara, who in turn motioned for Osawa to pick up. Hello? He said, cautiously. Hello. Is this the home of Maria Osawa? The voice was not Tanaka's. Osawa didn't recognize it, but the veil of despair that hung before him was thinned slightly. Is this the home of Hitomi Osawa? This time the man on the phone used Hitomi's name instead. Yes, that's right. The caller immediately hung up. As Osawa stood there, dumbstruck, Kajiwara gently took the receiver and hung up the phone. One of the detectives addressed Kajiwara. We've traced the source of the call to a cell phone. Also, we pinpointed the base station used. Informed Director Kuze so he can prepare a team just in case. Just in case? Osawa asked. What do you mean by that? Kajiwara frowned slightly. Just because this is a kidnapping case doesn't mean that every phone call comes from the kidnapper. We'll look into it, of course, but... Ah, I see. Besides, right now, confirming Mr. Tanaka's whereabouts takes priority. Don't you agree? Osawa nodded. Someone should call him, the detective added. I'll do it. Oh, no, this is I. I'll do it. I got out her cell phone and dialed up Tanaka. Where was Mr. Tanaka headed? Kajiwara asked. He eyed Osawa keenly. To work. Send him to pick up some documents. A necessary lie. If Tanaka was behind the kidnapping, Osawa knew he ought to tell the police about the blue minivan and the emails from Hitomi, but still he couldn't believe that his assistant really was the culprit. We have investigators en route to Tanaka's condominium, Kajiwara said. Let's wait for them to report in. On the far side of the room, I was squawking in frustration. Despite several attempts, she hadn't been able to get through to Tanaka. Kajiwara's phone rang and he pulled it from his pocket. Kano, what's going on? He headed into one corner as he spoke into the receiver. Suppose that'd be all right. What for, though? A few more quiet words, Kajiwara held his phone out to Osawa. One of the investigators on the scene would like to speak with you. Frowning in confusion, Osawa took hold of the phone. Osawa speaking. Can I help you? This is Detective Kano from the Shibuya precinct. Time is critical, so I just need to cut to the chase here. There was a pause as the speaker took a deep breath before continuing. Did you give the antiviral drug to your daughter, Hitomi? What? Osawa was so startled that his voice caught in his throat. What are you talking about? The antiviral research was top secret. So how did some detective from the Shibuya precinct know about it? Osawa was bewildered. I'm the one asking questions here, Mr. Osawa. Did you give the antiviral drug to your daughter, Hitomi? I'm not sure I understand the question. I know what the syndicate is really after, Mr. Osawa. Osawa's mind went blank when he had heard what Kano said next. He could give no reply. Mr. Osawa? The detective continued after a moment. Is everything all right? Without really thinking, Osawa hung up. So how did Kano find out about it so quickly? They were after the virus. Did he mean the UA virus that they kept at the lab? Wait, hold on. The detective had to be wrong about that. The kidnappers must have the UA virus already. Otherwise, I wouldn't have had to do what I did to Hitomi. Do not look away. These are your crimes. At last, Osawa understood what all those emails from were about. They were a preview of the tragedy that was yet to unfold. The kidnappers probably meant to start the main event soon. It might already be too late to stop them. Mr. Osawa? Kajawara asked. Are you all right? The detective gazed with concern into Osawa's ashen face. Bracing himself, Osawa spoke up, his voice hoarse and dry. A killer virus is about to be unleashed in Tokyo, and I know who's responsible. It's me. The sudden confession caused the detective to stir like a hornet's nest. Please, arrest me. Feeling the weight of his crimes crushing down on him, Osawa dropped his gaze to the floor. He held out both of his wrists. I'll tell you everything down at the station, he said. Anything you need to know. Osawa imagined bodies dropping left and right. There were limits to what might be cured by the small stockpile of antiviral his lab currently contained. They were unable to quarantine the infected in time that Shibuya, no, all of Japan, might be engulfed in a pandemic that the drug could never stop. So, just in case you didn't know what a pandemic was, let's read the tip about this one. A pandemic, for all of those of you who don't know, is a massive outbreak of a particular infection on a regional or global scale. For some examples, in 14th century Europe, a massive cholera outbreak is said to have killed 2/3 of the population. And the Spanish flu outbreak in the early 20th century killed at least 25 million people worldwide. Wow! That's indeed. Happy pandemic to all who celebrate. Do you know that, like, I was reading the news, and apparently we're up to the point for, like, where greater than half of Americans at this point have gotten COVID at some point. That makes us...
And still no quote-unquote herd immunity.
Yeah. That makes us very anomalous, because neither of us have had COVID yet, but we've also been taking very radical steps to self-isolate, so...
Radical steps like...
No one can hear you, Viv.
Radical steps like staying home like a NEET and getting a job where I can stay home like a NEET.
So, I mean, I prefer this to the alternative. I feel a little safer now that we've had the vax, but still, it's, you know. Anyway, hope this caught everyone up on what a pandemic is, you know, just in case. Given modern advances in transportation, some researchers are of the opinion that the global risk of a pandemic is higher than ever before. No shit! So we'd always wondered what a pandemic was. So hard to get a first-hand experience nowadays. I know! He could only hope that his complying with the authorities might help stop the spread of the infection before it was too late. Yo! Uh-oh. The thought of the UA virus devastating Japan filled Osawa with despair. Blaming himself, he asked to be arrested. But this only happened because of what Kano said to him. A simple error in word choice led Osawa to a completely wrong conclusion. Kano ought to properly inform Osawa just what the kidnappers are after. Damn it, Kano. Lamau, the global risk of a pandemic, huh? Right? I mean, what are the odds? Alright, so we know that Achi will help unlock Maria's route, and Kano will help with Osawa. Minorikawa was just kind of fucking off on his own for this time, it seems. I kind of want to see what's up with Kano and beautiful animation. The animation in this game, always top tier. No notes. Perfect. Send it as is. Canaan, Kano muttered. What is a Canaan? Canaan. I guess it's more of like a Canaan. Canon? Cannon! Oh my god, Cannon! Shit! I guess Canaan is the way you would pronounce this, right?
Oh.
Canaan, is that right, Viv?
I don't know. I only know it from Bible school, where it was always the land of Canaan.
Oh, Canaan. All right.
Is this the one that was by the Type Moon people and got adapted into an anime? Is this arc that?
I don't know what you're talking
One
about.
of the arcs of this game was by the Type Moon people who did Fate, and it got adapted into an anime.
Oh.
Or like got a sequel.
I need to watch that. I need to watch that anime now.
I have a feeling it'll be nothing like this.
That's fine. What if they did an anime entirely in like the just the photograph and FMV style? I think that's called just I think that's called just a sitcom. The stench of blood hung heavy in the basement bar. Stanley was silent, staring at the criminal's corpse. Hey, do you know anything about this? Kano asked. Still, Stanley gave no response. Silent treatment again, huh? Kano huffed. The American glanced at him gravely. In all likelihood, the one who did this was acting alone. Alone against this many other people? Who on earth? There's no need for you to know. Cut the crap, Kano snapped. He grabbed Stanley by the collar. If there's someone involved in this case who's capable of something like this, I need to know about it. How am I supposed to do my job if you keep me in the dark? Stanley remained stone-faced. Look, I'm not afraid of the risks, Kano said. And I'll be a lot more effective if you just at least fill me in on the basics here. The more you know, the sooner you'll wind up dead. Kano tightened his grip. But it's okay if I wind up dead while I'm still in the dark, huh? Fine, Stanley said. I'll answer your first question. He brushed Kano's arm aside. Canaan is the name of a covert operative from the Middle East. In simple terms, the type of spy that infiltrates hostile territory to carry out various clandestine activities. I believe she's the one who killed these people here. The Middle East, a covert operative. Kano hadn't expected spycraft to be involved with this. Yes, she's an assassin and a cryptanalysis specialist. Do you recall the mass jailbreak from Abu Ghraib prison a while back? Wow, this will filter the generations based on whether or not you recognize this one, huh? A prison in Iraq, west of Baghdad, under the Hussein government, it was an internment facility for political prisoners, but following the Iraq War, it was used by the U.S. Army to house prisoners of war. In April of 2004, photographs of detainees being tortured by U.S. soldiers were released, causing a massive scandal. President Bush later made the decision to have the facility demolished. Wow, this game is throwing some haymakers, right? I also like it. This is a very 2008 reference, I gotta say. And if you don't, and if it's not a name that immediately is familiar to you, congratulations on being a Zoomer, I guess. Canaan was the one who provided the intel the escapees used to get out. Wow. Okay, so now we're just adding more, just tying this back into the U.S. war in Iraq. Okay, getting some fucking lore now. Kano was at a loss for words. The case was suddenly starting to seem a whole lot more sinister. Whoever this Canaan was, she'd apparently killed nearly a dozen people with only a knife. She was clearly no one to trifle with. So what kind of individual were they dealing with here? He could scarcely imagine. Once again, Kano surveyed the crime scene. Each of the murdered criminals had his throat slit. From the look of the deep, clean cuts, the killer hadn't hesitated in the slightest. Okay, so then what connection does this Canaan have with the mastermind behind the kidnapping? If Canaan had killed all of the foreign syndicate members in this bar, did that mean she and the person behind the kidnapping were enemies? Or perhaps she and the kidnapper were working in concert, and she'd carried out these slayings as part of some plan to get rid of some loose ends? I believe I said I'd answer one question. Turning away, Stanley picked up a file from atop a nearby table. Apparently, he wasn't in the sharing mood. Realizing that further questions would be pointless, Kano peered sidelong at the file as Stanley opened it. Inside was a detailed map of Shibuya. There were various routes marked with arrows and times. That's the plan for the ransom relay. Kano was so excited he blurted his thoughts out loud. It appeared that the ultimate goal for the ransom was a condominium. The address at the time was 1420, were written in red ink. Kano put in an immediate call to the investigation task force to relay this information. The final destination is Ground Hill number 405 in Hiru 534 Shibuya. All right, Kuze told him. We'll look into who owns the condo in question. You and Stanley head over there now. I'm sending backup to go in with you. You have authorization to apprehend the suspect. Finally, hearing the order that he'd so long been waiting for, Kano felt a spark of determination flare inside of him. All right, let's go, he said, some of his excitement slipping into his voice. Stanley, still solemn, closed the file and followed him out of the bar. Stanley drove along Inokashira Dori toward Hiru, where the finish line for the ransom relay was located. Is it Hiru or Hiroo? Because I want to say Hiru, but like it could be. I could also believe it's like a double O thing. His demeanor was cold and brooding, in sharp contrast with Kano's gung-ho readiness. He seemed lost in some deep and cheerless thought. Kuze's voice came in over the wireless as the car came out onto Meiji Dori. We've identified the owner of the condominium. It's... Kano held his breath in anticipation. The name Kuze spoke caught him by surprise entirely. Keep out. All right, so now we can get to this route from it was Osawa that could jump over there, right? Yeah. Okay, so we can jump to Kano from here. Boom. Got him. Kuze's voice came in over the wireless as the car came out onto Meiji Dori. We've identified the owner of the condominium. It's Mamoru Tanaka. He's a colleague of Kenji Osawa. What? Kano squawked. This was an unexpected twist. Kajiwara confirms that Tanaka left the Osawa residence at just after 1400 hours. No word on his movements since then. It's possible he headed to his private condo where the attaché case is slated to end up. Any officer who runs across Tanaka is to apprehend him on sight. Kuze cut the connection. This mastermind you've been chasing, Kano asked. Is it Tanaka? Stanley didn't reply. Fine, never mind. I just wish I could know if Tateno was safe. Still worried about that traitor, huh? So Stanley could ignore all of his questions, but still remember to make snide remarks. Talking about Tateno's the only thing that gets a reaction out of you, isn't it? Kano snorted. What makes you so certain he can't be a traitor? Tateno just isn't like that. That's not an answer, Stanley scoffed. All right, I've watched the man work for years. I know him. He has no reason to betray the Force. You've watched him work, huh? What about his private life, then? Do you know all about that, too? He hasn't had money trouble or anything like that? Kano felt his blood starting to boil. I don't care what you think, he said. I trust Detective Tateno. Trust him? On what basis? I don't need any basis to have faith in someone, Kano snapped. Without any basis in fact, it's just plain sentimentality, Stanley said. There is no reason nor logic to it. A thin smile came to his face. Be they friends or family, you can never really know other people. The only person you can trust is yourself. Kano had no response for such an emotionless statement. He looked away. He and Stanley were just plain incompatible. It seemed like no amount of talking would let them get through to one another. Never take anything at face value, Kano. You start trusting too much and you're basically as good as dead. Kano just stared out of the window. Is Stanley going to wind up working for the, betraying him too somehow? Is that what this is foreshadowing? Yo, it is that. It is the overpass. This is another one of the locations you can go to in Twui. Tanaka's condo wasn't much further now. They were outside of Tanaka's condo now. Over there, Stanley said, keeping his voice down. Across the street was one of the foreign syndicate members walking briskly, the attaché case clutched at his side. I'm making the arrest. Kano, wait, Stanley exclaimed. Kano heard him loud and clear, but he had no intention of stopping. He approached the criminal at full speed and then leapt to tackle him around the waist. The two men fell to the pavement in a tangled heap. The collision sent the attaché case flying. Kano's eyes tracked the case for a moment too long. He was caught off guard when the man threw a punch at him. The blow caught him right in the jaw, snapping his head back. For a moment, Kano saw stars. As he shook off the impact, the man sprang to his feet and sprinted away in the direction of Stanley's car. Stanley! Kano shouted. Grab him! But Stanley ignored the man and instead went for the attaché case. Oh, come on! Really? Kano had no choice but to pursue the perp himself. He hadn't come this far just to let the crooks get away now. Suddenly, the fleeing man skidded to a stop. Several cars had pulled across the road ahead, and detectives were pouring out of them. His escape route cut off, the criminal resigned himself to capture. While Kano helped make the arrest, several of the other detectives broke into Tanaka's condo. Stanley, meanwhile, was carefully inspecting the exterior of the attaché case. He'd already opened it. It was stuffed with bundles of bank notes. The 50 million yen ransom was back in police hands. This is a decoy, the American muttered under his breath. I wonder where. His words trailed off, but Kano had heard them. What did you expect? The detective demanded. Samples of that new drug in there? As usual, Stanley gave no reply. The look on his face, however, told Kano he'd been right on the mark. Some of the backup team emerged from Tanaka's condo. Kano turned to them, feeling a sudden surge of anxiety for Maria. What is the situation in there? He asked. They told him that they'd found no one in Tanaka's rooms, so the hostage's status remained unknown, and the main culprit had evaded capture. This case hadn't been solved. In fact, it was still unfolding in the worst way conceivable. And still Stanley remained focused on the attaché case, pondering it with a thoughtful expression. Look, Kano told him, I'm going to request that I be returned to my normal duties. Maria still needs to be rescued, and I still need to find out what happened to Hitomi and Detective Tateno. For once, Stanley actually responded. Hitomi. Yes, that is it. It makes perfect sense that they'd have her carry it. Huh? What do you mean? This whole attaché case relay was a fake-out. Whoa, slow down, Kano said, wishing he could calm himself with his words. Explain what you're talking about. Somehow, the kidnappers made contact with Kenji Osawa and got him to have Hitomi carry the drug, separate from the ransom. Wait, you're saying they had Hitomi bring them the drug? Stanley nodded. The case handoffs were a sort of camouflage, a way for them to keep the police distracted from their real goal. Kano nodded. It had indeed felt like the case relay was a decoy, an attempt to buy time. If the syndicate were after something else entirely, it would explain why so many of their actions had appeared to make no sense. So, Kano asked, what sort of drug is this? Why would they go to such lengths to get their hands on it? It's an antiviral, Stanley replied after some hesitation. A way to cure people infected with a very particular virus. What virus are we talking about? It's called UA. Kano never heard of it. Still, he could imagine the possibilities. Suppose this UA was something like the Ebola virus. Oh. Discovered in Sudan in 1976, infection causes Ebola hemorrhagic fever, resulting in high fever and massive bleeding throughout the body. At present, there is no vaccine to prevent infection, nor any drug to cure the disease after it manifests. Perhaps HIV. The human immunodeficiency virus, HIV, destroys the cells that are essential for regulating cell-mediated immunity, considerably reducing immune response. This effect can result in infections that would ordinarily be fought off easily, developing into serious illnesses. There are various treatments, but as of yet, nothing that will eradicate the virus completely. Even the all-too-familiar influenza. An infectious disease caused by the influenza virus. Symptoms are similar to that of the common cold, but are much more severe, occasionally resulting in death. There are three main types of the virus, A, B, and C, with A and B causing the typical run of illness in humans. Neuraminidase is recommended as an effective inhibitor, but this merely alleviates the symptoms and is not a complete cure. There are medicines that could treat all of these diseases, but nothing that could cure them completely. Any drug that could do that would be worth vast sums of money. Kano, do you have any means of getting in touch with Mr. Osawa? Yeah, I know one of the detectives stationed at his home. Check in with him ASAP. Find out whether or not he gave the antiviral to Hitomi. Kano suppressed a scowl. It looked like he wasn't done assisting Stanley yet. He got it himself and dialed up Kajiwara. Kajiwara picked up promptly. Kano, what's going on? Could I speak with Mr. Osawa? I suppose that'd be all right. What for, though? There's something I need him to confirm for me. It's an emergency. Well, all right. Just make sure not to tell him anything about the investigation. Sure thing. After a while, a man's hoarse voice came over the line. Osawa speaking. Can I help you? This is Detective Kano from the Shibuya precinct. Time is critical, so I need to just cut to the chase here. Kano took a deep breath. Did you give the antiviral drug to your daughter, Hitomi? Osawa let out a gasp. Keep out. All right, where was this keep out from, though? Is that also from... I wonder if we can get it from here. Sawa was so startled that his voice caught in his throat. What are you talking about? The antiviral research was top secret. How did some detective from the Shibuya precinct know about it? Did you give the antiviral drug to your daughter Hitomi? Osawa let out a gasp. What are you talking about? I'm the one asking questions here, Mr. Osawa. Did you give the antiviral drug to your daughter Hitomi? I'm not sure I understand the question. Osawa's voice trembled as he spoke. Kano was sure he'd hit the nail right on the head. I know what the syndicate is really after, Mr. Osawa. Okay. It's Hitomi. Osawa remained silent. Mr. Osawa, is everything all right? The line went dead. Guess the answer's well enough, Kano said as he put away his phone. Was that the wrong answer there? Now it was clear why the criminals were after Hitomi. He saw an uneasy look on Stanley's face. Something on your mind? Kano asked. Stanley responded with a question of his own. If Hitomi was carrying the antiviral, how were the criminals planning on getting it from her? Kano thought for a moment. Well, taking her by force at the scramble posed too high a risk, he said. There are nearly 100 detectives there, and they must have guessed there would be. So I devised the attaché case relay. They wanted to abduct Hitomi somewhere away from the Dragnet's notice. This was the plan that all the signs seemed to suggest. But still, he added, I wonder how they managed to lead her away from police protection. A look of revelation crossed Stanley's face. All they would need to do is convince her to go of her own accord. But how? Kano asked. And then it came to him. He thought back to Hitomi's initial contact with Tariq Al-Karawan. Just before he'd taken the attaché case from her, the two had a brief conversation. It was possible Al-Karawan had given Hitomi some form of instructions then. Guess we're back to tracking down Al Karawan then, huh? Kano could tell from the look in Stanley's eyes that he was on the verge of saying something. Probably some remark about how Tateno had allowed Al Karawan to run free. Right now, Kano wasn't going to argue the point. After this case was resolved, he discovered what Tateno's real motives were. And once he did, Stanley would eat his words. In the meantime, we can't just wander around without looking and without any leads, he said. Until we get more intel, let's see what we can do with these security cameras back at the precinct. Story's getting wild. This story continues to get wild. It just keeps getting more and more and more wild, and I'm here for it. Numerous monitors shone down on the pair as they entered the Shibuya precinct surveillance room. Each showed an array of faces of individuals somewhere in Shibuya. Kano asked one of the operators to pull up all Karawan's data on screen. By selecting each of the faces on the monitors in turn, they could run comparisons to determine if anyone among them was Al Karawan. Oh! And now we're pulling it back into the whole security cameras around Shibuya story that Minorikawa was tracking down. Woo! One by one, the operator made his way through the faces. Assuming their target was still in Shibuya, there was a high likelihood they'd find him. The minutes ticked past and there was still no sign of him. Kano's tone grew more and more impatient as he directed the operator's search. Just calm down, Stanley said. He set a hand on Kano's shoulder. You keep wasting your energy when you don't need to. That's just how I do things, Kano replied. I'm energetic because I care. He pointed out another face to the operator. Well, you're setting yourself up for a short life. With a sigh, Stanley sank back into a nearby chair. My brother was like you. The American spoke so quietly that his words were barely audible. 10 minutes later, a man clad in black appeared in front of one of the monitors. The operator lined up his cursor. The comparison check confirmed that it was indeed Al Karawan. Yes! Kano hissed, pumping his fist. It appeared that their quarry was simply walking around town, calm and composed. Kano radioed in Al Karawan's location to Kuze. All units intercept the suspect on the double, Kuze ordered. Kano will provide guidance using surveillance monitors. They saw Al Karawan stop in front of a cigarette vending machine. Was he waiting for someone? Sasayama reporting. I've got eyes on the Mutt. Mutt, perpetrator. Hook, to put someone in cuffs. Dipper, pickpocket. Wants, outstanding warrants. Hang paper, to write multiple citations. And other such traditional police jargon. Kano's partner had evidently been nearby. I'm making the arrest, he said. There's a note of courage in Sasayama's voice. Given to view on the monitor, walking casually. It lives! Oh, you thought we were done? No, we are never done with this. That's they paid for the rental on the suit, and they're going to get their money's worth out of it. At some point, he ditched his anime nerd costume for a cat mascot suit. Oh no, Kano muttered. That getup's going to make Sasayama stand out like a sore thumb. Shoot, the Mutt spotted me. I'm going in pursuit. Sasayama slipped out of the camera's view. Whoa, what gives? Let go of me. You're Mr. Yanagashita, right? Look, I'm really sorry, but I need you to return that costume. The voices came in over the wireless. It sounded like Sasayama was caught up in an argument with someone. Sasayama! Kano shouted as he eyed the monitor. Kano, I need some help here. Requesting emergency backup. The line went dead before Sasayama could finish. Kano didn't have the faintest idea what was going on, but obviously his partner needed him. He rushed out of the precinct. Tama in the suit, great. Sasayama in the suit, meow, 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 meow. When he arrived on the scene, he saw Sasayama, still in the catsuit, caught up in a scuffle with a man he'd never seen before. There was no sign of Al Karawan. Sasayama, what is going on? That is an excellent question, Sasayama replied. This guy just came at me out of nowhere. He sounded pretty riled up. Sir, I need you to return this costume. Boss was very insistent on that point. The man was panting with exertion, shouting in Sasayama's face. Was he the owner of the suit? What's the deal with that thing, Sasayama? Kano asked. I bought it at a variety store on Center Guy. Appeared to be a perfect disguise. Didn't steal anything. Sir, I'm telling you, you need to give that back. And I'm telling you, I've got no idea what you're talking about. Sasayama stamped his foot. I realize that you're not Mr. Yanagashita. That isn't the issue. I just need you to return that costume. All right, sure, I'll give it to you. I just need it a little longer. I can't do that, sir. I need you to get out of that suit right now. Yeah, I get that, buddy, but no can do. It's like I told you before. The zipper on this thing's snagged. Kano watched as the argument descended further and further into absurdity. Meanwhile, Karawan was getting away. This was ridiculous. He turned to go in pursuit of the suspect. Kano, wait, Sasayama called out. Come on, help me out, man. Huh? Help me get this thing off. Now really isn't the time for this, Kano replied. I'm going after the suspect. Oh, I get it. You're going to ditch me here so you can take all the credit for yourself. Whoa, wait, what? I was this close to nabbing the guy. That arrest is mine to make, and you know it. Wasn't as though Kano couldn't empathize. If Sasayama hadn't been blindsided by this random stranger, he probably would have caught Karawan just fine. All right, then, Kano said. He reached for the zipper at the back of the catsuit. But as Sasayama had said, the metal fittings were snagged and refused to budge. Hurry up! I'm trying. There wasn't time to do this slowly and carefully. Kano yanked down the zipper hard. Stop! The stranger shrieked in alarm. Don't be so rough like that! But if I don't, I'll never. You mustn't! If you aren't careful, you'll cause a malfunction. Malfunction? What the hell was this guy talking about? Kano got an ever firmer grip on the zipper and pulled again. Nyan! He paused in surprise as Sasayama mewled. Would have an enemies to lover subplot, right? I love it. Again, Sasayama let out a little cry. Except it didn't sound like Sasayama's voice at all. Guys, Sasayama said, there's something making a rumbling noise inside this thing. He sounded pretty alarmed. Uh-oh, said the other man. It has started. His face went pale. What the fuck? What are you talking about? Sasayama demanded. What has started? The man hesitated, then seemed to come to a decision. Well, you see, this is no ordinary cat costume. Meaning what exactly? Our shop rented this unit out by mistake. Oh, I had no idea it was anything so horrifying. Not until the boss filled me in a little while ago. What's horrifying? You're not answering the question. The man's gaze grew hollow and distant. Cats, he said. For a moment, there was only silence. Then Sasayama spoke up nervously. Well, yeah, it's a cat. I know about that already. No, you're not listening. This is a cat. Like I said, I already know it's a cat. Anyone can see that just from looking at it. No, not a cat. Cats! Cats, meaning costume as transmission system developed by Far East Costume Rental's high-tech department. There was an official corporate notice stating this is just a prototype and potentially dangerous, so do not lend it out under any circumstances, but it was accidentally rented out by mistake. I love this game. Getting some Five Nights at Freddy's lore up in here. Nyan. Oh my. Well, we are in it for... Wow, okay. The meowing started back up again. With each new mewl, the sound got faster. Soon it sounded less like a cat and more like some mechanism that was whirring about. This game is peak fiction. Umaneko got nothing on this, right? Umaneko wishes it had someone stuck in a cat suit that turned you into a furry. And then there was a sudden, fierce, blinding flash. Space itself began to warp in a roughly 3-meter radius around Sasayama and his costume. I fucking love this game! A moment later, Kano and the others had vanished. Kano, Sasayama, and the rental guy were sent into another dimension due to a malfunction in the cats. Detective Sasayama should probably never have put that catsuit on. He mentioned buying it at a variety shop on Center Guy. Yeah. Oh, I love this game. Okay, so we have to dispose of it ourselves as Maria. Got it. So we want to back up a bit with Maria here. Oh. Blurry Sonic doll. All right. All right, so we'll take care of it ourselves now. Here we go. Okay. So now, okay, now is Maria, she's gonna leave in a hall. Okay, so we got a whole new thing now. The only way to learn that it's actually some weird interdimensional animatronic is optional bad end. I love it! It's so good! Alright. I'm gonna need to refill my water real quick. I'm not gonna throw up the AFK thing, I'm just gonna take like 2 minutes to go refill some water in my cup. I'll be right back. Oh, it was a cursed it was a cursed mascot costume thing. It not cursed. It experimental technology that accidentally malfunctioned and transported 3 people into another dimension. You know, normal stuff. This game is peak fiction, Vivian. Peak fiction.
But as I walk along, I start regretting my decision. I can't find a good place to throw the cat outfit away. Finally spot a convenience store that looks like it'll do just fine. One of the employees is out front cleaning out the trash can. Several large garbage bags line the side of the road. Perfect. You can just have him toss out the costume along with everything else. Excuse me, so I've got this old cat suit here. Figure it can't hurt to ask.
Yeah, I know.
The shop boy takes the costume from me.
Taku Okado, 22-year-old, getting by on part-time employment. Recently, after a number of employees quit in rapid succession, the owner hurriedly took on several new hires. But for some reason, instead of everyone chipping in on the cleaning, Okada always winds up stuck doing it. Can't wait till we learn that 6.5 children have died inside the suit or now haunting it for whatever FNAF floor is like again. Right? I never actually, like, I only know what I know about FNAF lore just by, like, contact from other things. You're here to throw this thing out. I got it.
He sounds wholly unsurprised.
Oh, you're talking about the dude behind... Yeah, so the dude... Oh, no, I have no idea what you're talking about, Vivian, and neither does anyone else on the stream that you keep asking me questions on that I have to answer, and they can't hear your half of the conversation. This is bad streaming etiquette, Vivian. I told you. We need to just get you a microphone so you could just... Wait, we do. Can you just carry that microphone around with you at all times? Thank you, Viv. I love you. He sounds so wholly unsurprised. He accepts it so blithely that I actually feel bad. All right, this is Tama narrating, right? It's been like this all morning, he says. I don't even care anymore. Just throw away what you need and be on your way, I guess.
It's been like what all morning?
I'm out here cleaning and people keep dumping trash on me. First it was this couple that up and threw a garbage bag at me. Achiendo and Hitomi Osawa. The two have just run into a girl called Kanon. Uh-oh. After that, some homeless-looking guy came by, took all his clothes off, and left. Detective Yuji Sasayama from the Shibuya precinct. The moment Sasayama is searching for a costume for his next disguise. Like, just now some chubby girl tossed out a bunch of empty cardboard boxes and a bunch of empty bottles.
That must have been Cheery. She was probably drinking the burning hammer while she walked along.
Yo, wannabe cat. Welcome to the stream. He looks so happy, though. He does. So when he came by just now with this thing, I knew right away. Yep, this again.
I'm sorry.
It's all right. 3 times, 4 times, what's the difference?
He flashes a bright smile, but it's clearly insincere. Then he looks at me more closely.
Aren't you the girlfriend of that dude who threw the bag of garbage at me?
What? No, not me.
Huh, guess I'm misremembering then. Well, anyway, thanks for your help with this. Oh, right, no, this is...
Well, anyway, thank you for your help with this. I give the guy a bow. Sega!
Do we have to go through... Okay, we don't have to replay all that now, okay. But now... Kano's route should be open. Ten minutes later. Alright, so this time... we got Alcarawan again. Yep, this is all the same. This is the same. Came into view on the monitor, walking casually. And now he's wearing a fucking normal-ass outfit. There you go, Sasayama. At some point, he ditched his anime nerd costume for a street dancer's getup. Didn't appear that Alcarawan had noticed him yet. Bit by bit, Sasayama closed the distance. Not much further now. Kano's hand balled into a fist as he watched. And then something unexpected happened. Another man came running into view right in the middle of the monitor. Teruo Toyama. While searching for Hana at the Shibuya Gigo, he was located by the duo of debt collectors and fled the scene. Hana left Gigo to find him and ran into him here in Maruyamacho. The pair are heading towards Koendori, trying to find a place to hide. Can't wait till Shop Boy gets in the cat and accidentally turns into Furry Terminator to derail the plot. Listen, anything is possible at this point. There was no sound, but they could see that the newcomer was shouting something. As Alcarawan turned to look at the man, Sasayama launched himself like a bullet from a gun. In an instant, the detective and Perp were locked in a violent scuffle right there on the street. Kano swallowed a lump in his throat as he watched the struggle unfold. Earlier in the day, Alcarawan had done a number on Sasayama, but this time the detective had the upper hand. He got a grip on Alcarawan's neck and kneed him repeatedly. Alcarawan tried desperately to bring Sasayama to the ground, but Sasayama braced himself and avoided the takedown. And then he shifted in his stance and took Alcarawan to the pavement with a spectacular hip throw. Yes! Kano clapped his hands together in excitement. Best thing about this game is that every time I make one of these jokes, there's an actual chance it's going to be real. I know! This game is perfect! Catching the perp in a scarf hold, Sasayama got out his handcuffs. A technique in judo involves wrapping an arm around the opponent's neck while performing an upper body pin. Stanley, we should head to the scene, Kano said. He looked away from the monitor for a mere moment, and when he looked back, Sasayama had released his hold and crumbled to the ground. What? Panicked, Kano stared at the image of his friend. There was something jutting up from Sasayama's abdomen. Zoom in! Kano cried frantically. The camera closed in on Sasayama. Now Kano could see exactly what he'd feared. Sasayama had been stabbed in the gut. Blood pooled on the pavement around him. Sasayama! The camera showed several other detectives arriving at the scene, capturing Alcarawan before he could escape. But Sasayama lay motionless. The pool of blood around him spread further and further across the pavement. Unable to look any longer, Kano rushed from the surveillance room. And it looks like we hit the end of this route. Well, rip Sasayama, but I'm different, so. Let's see. Who else can we... Why did you get the bad end here? Right. We have to have Achi not be so weird about it back in the place. Got it. Okay, so we've reached one of the to be continueds. Not Schrodinger's cat boy, right? There's no way to know. All right. Who's are we gonna do next? We could do Achi, because Maria's gonna be at a hard thing here. Can Osawa go any further now? Osawa should also be able to go further here now. Oh shit, we really are Zero Escape, right? This does, like, I haven't played Zero Escape, but I know kind of like the vibe, and yeah, this does give the similar vibe. What? I was gonna make a joke about how the timeline this is just like Zero Escape, but we have a to be continued. Yeah. This is honestly, the more I keep playing, the more I play this game, the more I'm convinced that this is like, this got unfairly overlooked. More people need to play this game. What are you talking about? The antiviral research was top secret, so how did some detective from the Shibuya precinct know about it? Osawa was bewildered. I'm the one asking the questions here, Mr. Osawa. Did you give the antiviral drug to your daughter, Hitomi? I'm not sure I understand the question. I know what the syndicate is really after, Mr. Osawa. Osawa's mind went blank when he heard what Akano said next. He could give no reply. Mr. Osawa? The detective continued after a moment. Is everything all right? Without really thinking, Osawa hung up. This is the Zero Escape of FMV games, which is how more FMV games should be? Indeed. Osawa staggered out of the living room. He needed to be alone. To his surprise, Kajawara didn't try to stop him. Well, good. We managed to prevent himself from thinking that he caused a pandemic apocalypse. So, good for you, buddy. Shutting his study door behind him, he dropped onto his sofa, then grabbed 3 times his normal dosage of stomach pills. There was no water in the room, so he had to swallow them dry. Detective Kano's words echoed in his mind. I know what the syndicate is really after, Mr. Osawa. It's Hitomi. There was only one reason they could be after Hitomi. He broke out in a cold sweat as he began to understand exactly what this kidnapping was about. And it all started 6 days earlier. It was April 22nd. Osawa had just returned from the United States the day before. He was in the midst of some routine work in the General Research Lab when his cell phone rang. The LCD display showed an unlisted caller. With some hesitation, Osawa picked it up. Hello? Is this Kenji Osawa? Oh, hold on.
Is this Kenji Osawa?
The caller was using a voice modulator. A type of device or software used to make one's voice sound different. Changing a voice to the point of making a voice print or tone analysis impossible presents a major challenge. To be able to do so in real time requires major financial and technological resources. 2008. There's an app for that now. Osawa raised an eyebrow. Yes?
Go and analyze Hitomi's blood.
Her blood?
If you don't, she's going to die.
And with that, the caller hung up. There was an intensity behind this that made Osawa sure it wasn't just some prank call. He had Hitomi come into the lab ASAP. He told Hitomi he wanted a sample of her blood for an experiment. She agreed, suspecting nothing. He placed some of the blood he'd drawn onto a glass slide, then added some fluorescein, a type of fluorescent dye. Fluorescein is a yellow-green liquid, a type of fluorescent dye, chiefly used in preparing specimens for viewing under a fluorescent microscope. But it has other uses as well, such as a diagnostic reagent administered in eye exams. Its highest volume use is on St. Patrick's Day, when massive amounts of fluorescein are used to dye the Chicago River green. For some reason. Fluorescent dye is a type of dye that causes the dyed substance to emit a higher wavelength fluorescent light when illuminated with a certain type of other light. Such dyes can reveal fine details when used on specimens viewing through a fluorescent microscope. Placing the slide under a fluorescence microscope, he took a look. It can't be. Osawa could hardly believe his eyes. Wriggling under the microscope was the Grim Reaper's sickle itself. There was no mistaking it. Hitomi was infected with the Uwa virus. Trembling, Osawa hurried to his computer. He opened the UA virus folder on his monitor. Within were images showing the stages of the virus's propagation. He double-clicked to magnify the first image. The Reaper sickles were interlocked with one another. Clicked on the next image. After further propagation, the UA virus looked less like a sickle and more like a sort of insectoid larva. Next was the final image. Interlocked into a single mass, the UA virus vaguely resembled a sinister, many-petaled sunflower. It took a mere 12 hours for the pathogen to develop to this point and begin its hideous destruction of the human body. Hitomi's infection sample was still in the state shown in the first image. There was still a chance to save her. Osawa slumped back in his chair, huddling on himself. He had no choice. There was only one way to save Hitomi. He would have to administer the nearly completed antiviral. Using the antiviral medication without official approval was a grievous violation of company policy. Acting against company rules and regulations, Okoshi Pharmaceutical prohibits leaking work-related information to outsiders. In the case of a major violation, not only can the violator be fired, but the company may also seek indemnities. Still, Osawa didn't have the time to get the higher-ups to approve a clinical trial. He might be punished severely for it, but this was his only option. His daughter's life was at stake, but there was also another, even bigger hurdle in his way. The antiviral drug was stored in the deepest recesses of the biochemical research building. A high-intensity X-ray scanner was set up at the entrance to the storage area. This made it impossible for him to take the research materials out. X-ray, if you didn't know, was a type of radiation, also referred to as a Röntgen ray. Vivian, I got an umlaut. Help me out. Röntgen ray. Röntgen. Whenever I don't know how to pronounce an umlaut, I just throw an R in front of the vowel, and then usually that works. Röntgen rays with a shorter wavelength than a UV light, but a longer wavelength than gamma rays. Because X-rays can penetrate many objects, hot, with little absorption or scattering, they can be used to create images of internal structure. Hospitals, for example, use X-ray technology to examine the insides of patients' bodies, while security personnel use it to scan luggage at airports to search for bombs. Ah, yes. The 2000s. Yeah. Well, if he couldn't just get the antiviral out of there, he just had to bring Hitomi in. Course of action quickly took shape in his mind. First, he needed to slip out of the general research building. He would then head to the biochemical research facility and show his ID card to the guard at the front gate. An ID card, if you didn't know, is an identification card. Many facilities that carry out highly classified research assign different levels of security clearance to individual researchers, and only those with suitable clearance, as indicated by their ID cards, are admitted to restricted areas. Development of more advanced technologies such as electronic ID tags are replacing older barcode-type entry cards. Yo, shit, we got 3D animation in this game? Holy fuck. This is looking like Megaten on the NES right here. After passing through a lobby under the watchful gaze of several security cameras, he'd reached an elevator at the end of the hall that went directly into the storage section. This elevator required an ID card scan to operate. The way they're describing this is very Ocean's 11, isn't it? Umlaut, the bane of people desperately trying to pronounce German, right? I don't have a way of doing it. It's just, I give up. It would take about 20 seconds to get down to the first basement level and arrive at the entrance to the storage area. Finding an excuse to get Hitomi that far ought to be doable. If the security guard got suspicious, Osawa could say it was for a top-secret hematology experiment, and the guard would probably believe him. The problem was what came after. Getting into the storage area itself required a fingerprint authentication from both Osawa and Tanaka. This meant that he couldn't possibly get to the antiviral without Tanaka's cooperation. Desperate with uncertainty, Osawa called up Tanaka. He frantically explained the situation. Understood, Tanaka. Tanaka replied, we need to get her to this drug as soon as possible. If the company finds out about this, you'll be held accountable for violation of corporate policy along with me. You sure you're okay with that? What are you talking about? Hitomi's life is more important than company policy. Tanaka spoke without hesitation. Osawa felt an immense surge of gratitude for his assistant. And I have to say I'm deeply moved by your determination, Tanaka added. Moved? Whatever for? You really are worried about Hitomi. Osawa's gratitude faded. What are you talking about? Of course I am. My apologies. It's just that putting your career on the line for something so personal is... It's what? It's not like me? No. Well, yeah. I'm sorry. Now Tanaka's voice was colored with embarrassment. Just what sort of person do you think I am? Osawa resisted the urge to ask the question out loud. A short time later, Osawa and Tanaka stood before the door to the secure storage area. The security guard had let them in without the slightest suspicion. Osawa pressed his index finger to the fingerprint scanner first. Accepted. He realized he had been holding his breath as his authorization finally went through. Half a moment later, Tanaka touched his own finger to the scanner plate. Accepted. The lock released with an audible clang, and the heavy door opened. Osawa hurried to retrieve the antiviral. As he picked up a small vial, he had a sudden realization. They were finally going to use the drug in a human test. His fatherly wish to cure Hitomi was overlaid by an intense rush of curiosity, the researchers' drive to discover his results. Hurry! I need to hurry. I need to administer the antiviral as soon as possible. Osawa could hardly fend off his excitement. Over the course of the next few hours following the injection, the UA virus would be eradicated from Hitomi's body. There had been some fever and cramping as the temporary side effects, but the DDS had done a spectacular job of stomping out the virus. The drug delivery system, also known as smart drug delivery, the ability to target a specific region of the body with a specific drug, has momentous implications for the future of medicine. DDS technology is currently being tested extensively around the world. In saving his daughter's life, Osawa had proven the value of his research. If he had been asked which made him happier, he would have been hard-pressed to give an answer. What if we broke company policy to save my daughter, under the faintest of bisexual lighting? Right? Oh, like, are we not shipping Tanaka and Osawa yet? I feel like we are. Afterwards, he asked Hitomi where she could have become infected, but she had no idea. He explained the need for secrecy, and strictly forbade her from telling anyone else what had happened. And now a week had passed since Osawa gave the drug to Hitomi. He'd been conducting checks and had discovered the DDS had not broken down but remained in Hitomi's bloodstream. Extracting the DDS was a simple matter, requiring just a small blood sample from around the nape of the neck. Oh, hold on. The nape of the neck. The DDS tends to linger in the nape of the neck because the lymph nodes are located there. These lymph nodes identify viruses that invade the body as foreign substances to be attacked, but they are not always able to overcome particularly powerful pathogens. In such cases, the virus propagates rapidly inside of them. Once the patient has been treated, the antiviral will seek out the virus and accumulate there as well. Oh, I just reset the page because why not? The DDS itself was simply the delivery system for the antiviral drug. Residual amounts of the antiviral itself stayed behind within the cells. The big shipping war for Shibuya 428, Osawa x Tanaka or Osawa x Japanese Colombo. Why not, dare I say, OT3? The materials used to create the DDS must, as a matter of course, cause minimal or no harm to the human body. Ideally, rather than accumulate inside the body, DDS substances should either be digested and absorbed or excreted. Because the antiviral must remain in the body for as long as the virus is active, however, a very careful balance must be struck between persistence and dissipation. Using the DDS, it was possible to extract those minuscule amounts from cells within a blood sample. It might take considerable time, but a sufficiently detailed analysis could allow for the antiviral drug itself to be reconstructed. Osawa felt a chill as he contemplated the situation. The kidnappers had known how tough security was at the lab, so they'd come up with the idea of using a human vessel to get what they needed from within. By infecting Hitomi with the UA virus, they'd ensured that she'd receive the antiviral and that she would have the antiviral in her blood. If Tanaka was working with the kidnappers, it explained why he'd been so cooperative about the fingerprint scanner. That's the solution, but you know how shippers can be. You know what? That is true. That is true. Damn it! Osawa shouted. He clutched his head in his hands. Tanaka had been his partner and trusted confidant for years. Osawa refused to believe he'd been betrayed like this. The front door chime sounded.
Mr. Osawa, Kajawara called out. It appears you have a visitor. Could you handle that?
Minorikawa's coming over? Who could it possibly be now of all times? All right. With a sigh, Osawa dragged himself to his feet. He stumbled wearily back into the living room where the investigators were staring at the intercom monitor with concern. The intercom's hidden camera showed a man with an unsettling grin posed intimidatingly outside the front gate. Osawa didn't recognize him. Yes, who is it? He asked guardedly through the intercom. It's Minorikawa. Where might I know you from, Mr. Minorikawa? Oh, you know, here and there. I mean, there is only one Minorikawa, really. Are you playing games with me? I don't have time for that. Please, just open up. There's no way I'm letting you in, Osawa said. But the nonsensical badgering continued. Look, just hold your horses. I'm here for an interview. You got that? An interview? That's right. It's a piece for 4-Star General Gossip. The name of the magazine brought up an unpleasant memory. That was the gossip rag that had run the article about his political marriage. Wait, this is for one of those kinds of articles? What do you mean, those kinds of articles? I'm just looking for an interview. The man's tone was both high-handed and belligerent. Like hell you are. I'm not talking to anyone from the gossip. You're not the one I'm here to talk to. I want to interview your twin daughters. My daughters? I understand they won a shared prize for a beauty contest at Midoriyama Academy. If you wouldn't mind my interviewing them, Furious, Osawa cut off the intercom. This was no time to be indulging someone else's nonsense. You have a gift! The man was shouting so loud his voice carried past the gate and through the front door. I'm begging out here on my hands and knees! He wasn't actually on his hands and knees. Osawa could see that clearly through the intercom monitor. If your daughters aren't home, can you at least tell them when I want to get in touch with them? Mr. Osawa, Kajawara said, frowning, this isn't a good time to have someone drawing attention to your home. All right, I'll get rid of him. Osawa hurried out of the house, confronting Minorikawa through the front gate. The journalist had that tenacious look that immediately marked him as a member of the media. Give me your business card, Osawa said. I'll have them get in touch with you later. Took Minorikawa's card, then went right back inside. Back in his study, Osawa tossed Minorikawa's business card into the trash. Unable to think of what else to do, he tried the internet fortune teller again. He got the same, "You're a very work-minded person," result a second time. If you don't get over your indifference to the world might start to harbor quite a grudge. My indifference to the world around me, huh? The truth was that even with his closest companions, even with Tanaka, for instance, his relationship had always been strictly a matter of business. He had never really taken it upon himself to get to know Tanaka as a person, and that was pretty much the case for everyone he knew. He harbored no interest in other people. He had no concern for his fellow man. That had made itself abundantly clear when he received a microscope as a birthday present way back in first grade. Even now, he still remembered the shock he'd felt when he looked through that lens for the first time. He discovered a new, almost infinite world hidden in the midst of one he'd always thought was too small. And by comparison, the real world seemed bland and ugly. Wherever he looked, wherever he went, he had to contend with tedium. It hadn't taken long for him to become more charmed by the world under his microscope than the one around him. It was like a calm, quiet little seaside, a beach where he could just sit and stare out at the waves. He wanted to stay immersed in that world forever and ever. And before he knew it, he was an adult, and then a husband, and then a father. The people around him thought him an odd fellow, but he hadn't let that change the way he lived his life. And this, now, was the result. He hadn't been betrayed by Tanaka. He didn't know Tanaka well enough for that. Oof. Find a way to connect more deeply with the people around you and start living a better life before it's too late. Just do that, and you're sure to have a wonderful future ahead. Osawa picked up his cell phone and dialed Tanaka's number. I had tried calling him repeatedly and hadn't gotten through. It was doubtful that he'd pick up. Still, Osawa had to try. The phone rang several times. He listened grimly to the empty mechanical sound, preparing himself for disappointment. What is it? Tanaka's voice sounded coldly in Osawa's ear. The tension was electric. Damn. We got another keep out. All right, all right. So let's take a look at what we got right now. We got a keep out here. Mari's got a bad end that we can solve by through Achi. Kano hit the to be continued already, so we don't need to worry about you anymore. And we haven't even touched Minorikawa yet. Okay. So I think the next stage then is to go through Achi's route here. And not have him try to stalk Maria. That seems sensible. But before we do that, let's take a quick break. Like an actual break this time. I'm going to go take 10. While I'm gone, everyone, make sure you stand up and walk around for a bit. Drink some water. Eat some food. Take your meds if you need to. All those little things you got to do to take care of yourself today. I'll be back in about 10, and when I come back, we'll find out how Achi's confrontation with Kanan goes. All right, it's Achi time. Achi tongue, baby. Let's see. There we go. I hope you all had a good break. I'm ready for the arch.
You must be Hitomi.
The girl called Kanon spoke fairly fluent Japanese. Hitomi nodded in response.
Yeah, that's me. And you're Kanon, right? How did you know my name? Did Maria tell you? Yes. She told me about this amazing girl from overseas she made friends with.
A thin smile crossed Kanon's lips at the word amazing. And then her look grew sad.
Poor Maria. It's my fault she was abducted. What?
Achi and Hitomi gasped in unison.
And that's why I have to rescue her.
Kanon added.
Hold on a second,
Hitomi said.
What do you mean it's your fault?
Kanon replied by jerking her chin in the direction of the main road.
Better head that way,
she said softly.
Someone's coming.
But Hitomi didn't back down.
Please tell me, why was my sister kidnapped?
Several sets of footsteps echoed down the alley. They could see figures approaching now, by the looks of them accomplices of the man Kanon had taken down earlier.
You two get out of here, she warned.
I'll handle this. She stepped out in front of Achi and Hitomi, moving with such confidence that they didn't doubt that she could handle the threat.
Come to the Jigo building at 3 o'clock, she added quietly, never taking her eyes off the advancing syndicate members. Huh?
Hitomi squeaked.
I'll explain everything then.
The criminals broke into a run.
Come on,
Come on, Hitomi, let's go! Achi hissed. He took her by the hand and bolted from the alleyway. The two didn't slow their pace until they'd put plenty of distance between themselves and the alleyway.
Kanon said this was her fault. What could she have meant by that?
The hard run hadn't made Hitomi forget the other girl's startling suggestion. Well, she said she'd meet up with us again later, Archie said. We can ask her more about it then. In the meantime... An ache in his belly had made Archie realize that he'd been running all day and hadn't eaten since the morning. People on a diet need to be careful about skipping meals. Going too long without proper nourishment can cause the body to store up its energy reserves, leading to weight gain instead of loss. Proper eating habits and proper exercise are key. Maybe it's not the best timing, but do you want to get some food?
I'll be okay.
Hitomi's face was racked with emotion. It's only natural, Archie thought. Not only was she afraid for her sister's life, but there were all these people out to kill her, too. And with this Kanon girl suddenly showing up, the situation was more confusing than ever. Still, they might as well address the few problems they could control. There was a fast food joint nearby. Let's go in there, Archie said. You might not be hungry, but should still make sure you stay hydrated. Hitomi shook her head, but her wan face practically radiated exhaustion. Come on, we should rest up a little.
But
there's no rush. If we're going to meet up with Kanon later, it's probably best if we don't wander aimlessly until then. Never know who we might run into.
I guess you're right.
The two went into the fast food restaurant together. Oh, you can just go to Sweden. That's cool. Wow, they just have Sweden. Wow, there you go.
Welcome, said the girl at the register with a bright smile.
May I take your order? I'll have the spaghetti with meat sauce. How about you, Hitomi? Spaghetti with meat sauce made from tomatoes and ground meat. Also known as spaghetti bolognese, if you want to sound more Italian. Like Neapolitan spaghetti, flavored with ketchup, it is a perennial favorite of Japanese children. Frozen packages at the supermarket around 200 yen a pop make for a simple and decently tasty microwavable meal that is also easy on the wallet.
I'll just have an iced tea.
Hey, now, you should probably eat at least a little something.
Okay, then I'll have a strawberry parfait.
A dessert of strawberries topped with ice cream and whipped cream. Hitomi has been so worried about her sister that she hasn't eaten anything since last night, but being with Achi has calmed her nerves a little, and her appetite has returned. Perhaps her reflexive order of a strawberry parfait is a sign that she's not only hungry, but also still a little girl with a sweet tooth at heart. She sounded a little embarrassed to be ordering a dessert. So yeah, said Achi. 1 spaghetti and meat sauce, 1 strawberry parfait, please. Coming right up. The cashier promptly assembled their meal and set it out on a tray. We got a special contest going on right now, she said. Please check it out if you're interested. The girl handed Achi a flyer. It read, Iron Stomach Eating Contest. Eat 1,000 scoops of ice cream and win 10 million yen. Iron Stomach, a competitive eating event held by this establishment. Backed by Sun TV, the competition has been shared with the entire country over the internet. Many contestants have entered for a shot at the 10 million yen prize, but so far no one has been able to complete the eating challenge. Due to the large number of competitors who suffer from gastrointestinal distress as a result of their efforts, roughly 30 portable toilets have been set up outside the restaurant. What the heck? Aji stared at the flyer as he took a seat in an open table. 1,000 scoops, that's impossible! Anyway, let's hurry up and eat. As Achi stuffed his face with the spaghetti, he thought back to their encounter with Kanon. The girl had helped them out, sure, but could they really trust her completely? It might be dangerous to meet up with her again. Still, Hitomi needed to know more about what had happened to Maria. And Kanon obviously knew something about that. It looked like they'd need to take that risk.
My sister really is amazing.
Huh? Yeah, you go, Achi. That's a great... You know what? Yeah, you nailed it, buddy. You can tell by how much spaghetti they've gone through, like how many times that shot took to get right. Hitomi's quiet words drew Achi from his ruminations. He paused with a forkful of spaghetti halfway into his mouth.
My sister met Kanon while she was on a trip to the Middle East with my father.
Hitomi nibbled at her parfait, looking lonesome. Cool, but how does that in particular make your sister amazing?
It's typical of her is all. She's so dynamic and gung-ho about things.
Hitomi explained, her gaze turned inward.
It was just my father and sister who took that trip to the Middle East. I didn't go with them. I guess my mental image of that part of the world is mostly that it's really dangerous. To me, going there seemed like a huge risk, but Maria didn't see it that way.
Sister sounds like a bit of a loose cannon.
But if you can't bring yourself to take risks, to do things,
Hitomi continued,
you can't meet new people and have new experiences. That's the part I always get hung up on. The risk. I'd never be able to make a friend like Kanon.
Achi's mind wandered as he listened to Hitomi talk. She and her sister might be twins, but each one of them was still unique. Okay, I'm going to stop you right there, he said. He held up a hand to cut her off.
Huh?
Hitomi's eyes went wide. Why are you comparing yourself to your sister? I mean, I don't know what it's like to be a twin, but can't you just be yourself?
Professor Palmer said the same thing.
Huh? Achi didn't recognize the name.
Oh, sorry, Leland Palmer. He's my university English professor.
Oh, we haven't seen Leland in a while. I think last we saw him was like an hour or two ago, and he nearly got run over by a car or something. They ran into him while they were I think it was on Kano's route. He's still around here somewhere. That sounded rather intimate. All sorts of worrying images shot through Achi's mind. So how old is this teacher of yours?
Huh? Around 40 or so, I guess.
Great, Achi thought to himself. Another middle-aged guy. His mind filled with another sequence of slightly more upsetting images. Achi, my dude, you gotta calm it down, buddy. Oh wow, ain't that Hitomi Osawa?
Oh wow, you're right, it totally is.
A college-age couple sitting behind them were talking in hushed, excited tones. Achi's still with like the tomato sauce. Man, she really is a cutie, the young man observed. He made no attempt to hide the fact that he was looking Hitomi over.
Hey, hold on, Masa, said the girl. What gives?
Masa is a first-year student at Midoriyama Academy who works part-time as a delivery driver for Dogen Hut, a noodle shop on Dogenzaga. He's taken the day off work today in order to attempt a dry run of the Iron Stomach eating competition, hoping to strike it rich while his girlfriend looks on. But now that he's eaten 2 parfaits, his stomach isn't feeling well. He's just gotten back from his 5th trip to the toilet. Well, I mean, she is Miss Midoriyama, right? Miss Midoriyama? Archie said nothing, but he kept his ears tuned to the couple's conversation.
Shouldn't this her?
Yeah, it totally is.
No, it isn't. Isn't that Maria Osawa?
Oh, maybe?
Either way, she's super cute.
Or super cute.
Hey now, Masa, what gives?
We get tips on all these random NPCs. It's so weirdly humanizing, and I love it. A first year of a student at Midoriyama Academy who works part-time for Dogen Hut, noodle shop on Dogenzaga. He's just back from suffering in the restroom, his stomach rather upset from eating too much parfait. While doing his business there, he happened to spot a magazine on the wall rack. Flipping through nonchalantly, he came across a potential 100,000 yen scratch card inside. Seeing that it hadn't been scratched off, he considered trying for the prize, but then deciding that it was no time to press his luck, left the restroom without scratching it. Archie turned back to Hitomi. Is that true? He asked, peering intently at her face.
Well, yeah.
She nodded with an awkward smile. I mean, you really are cute and all, Archie said. Miss Midoriyama, well, I'll be. He nodded to himself as he took it all in.
It was Professor Palmer who convinced me to enter that beauty contest, actually,
Hitomi said. The Miss Midoriyama contest at Midoriyama Academy is considered one of the top student beauty pageants in Japan. Pin-up shots of both Hitomi and Maria have already graced the pages of several magazines. Talent agencies have also made attempts to scout them, but both girls declined, claiming that they entered the contest just for the memories and that they have no interest in show business. Gotta love doing it for the flex. Huh! Archie's smile twisted up a little.
He said if I really wanted to change myself, I should try entering.
Archie maintained his outward composure, but inside his heart was racing. Tanaka and Palmer, which of them held Hitomi's true affections? Or was she possibly leading on 2 middle-aged men at the same time? The more he thought about it, the worse his delusions became.
What actually happened, though, is that my sister and I both won the prize.
Hitomi's words snapped him out of his funk. She sounded disappointed. Oh, they give out a double prize.
Turns out my sister had entered the competition, too.
She smiled a self-deprecating smile.
Guess twins really do think alike, huh?
Hey, double schmubble, you still won a prize, right? That's pretty impressive.
Nah, they just picked me as an afterthought to my sister because twins sharing a prize made for a good headline.
She looked away sadly. Did they say they picked you as an afterthought?
They didn't have to. It was obvious that my sister really won.
You can't know that. Maybe she was the afterthought. Come on, you need to believe in yourself. Hitomi just hung her head.
But I'm such a terrible person.
No. Show us the Achi lips with the fucking tomato sauce still. Suddenly her eyes welled up with tears.
I hate myself so much. I can never forgive myself for what I did.
Yo, whoa, hey, whoa. The Archman doesn't really do much with the feelings here now. Archie watched her with trepidation. She looked like she might start bawling at any moment. What's the matter?
The night my sister was kidnapped, I was supposed to go to a college party with her. But then all of a sudden she told me not to go. I kept asking her why not, but she just insisting I couldn't.
Hitomi's face was bleak with regret.
We both got mad and I wound up blowing up at her. Okay, I get it. I don't need to go to the party. Fine, I'd just be your little tag-along anyway. Just like in that beauty contest. You couldn't just let me enter that by myself, could you? You always have to be the center of attention.
Maria scowled.
Fine. The party starts at 7 o'clock. Try not to forget, okay? I was kicking myself as soon as I told her off. My sister isn't the sort of person to tell me what to do or not to do. She must have had a reason for not wanting me to go. I was planning on apologizing to her after the party, but...
But then she was abducted, right? Archie polished off the last of his spaghetti. He set down his fork and then wiped his mouth. It told me I get why you're trying so hard to save your sister, he said. And maybe I'm not as tough as that canine girl, but I'll stick with you to the end if you let me. He tried his best to convey an optimism he didn't really feel. And once we found her and she's safe in town, you can tell her that you're sorry for what you said. At long last, Hitomi cracked a smile. Sega! A short while later, the two arrived outside the Jijo building. They were a little early to their 3 o'clock meetup with Kanon. They had decided that searching at random for the blue minivan was too risky. It could easily draw attention to the man with the cane or the foreign kidnappers. Getting information from Kanon seemed like the best next move. Oh, hey, Archie said as they waited. You got a little rip in your top. Hitomi glanced at her shoulder and saw the tear in the fabric. Oh, both of them do? Oh, that's... Uh-oh. So, when it was just Maria, I thought it was something to do with the costume, right? Maybe it got ripped while she was getting in and out of the big suit or whatever, but the fact that both of them have the rip, I wonder what that means. If anything.
When did that happen, I wonder?
Must have snagged on something while we were running, I guess. Got some time before Kanon gets here. You want to buy some new clothes?
Are you sure that's a good idea?
We'll stick out if we're just standing around here waiting. May as well head inside until it's time. Since many celebrities did their shopping at Jijo, there were back entrances for times when the place was crowded. Everyone who frequented the old shopping district knew about them, including Archie and Hitomi. In a pinch, one of those back entrances could be an escape route. With all this in mind, the two headed inside. Shibuya Jijo was an entertainment complex featuring a video arcade and fashion shops. At the time of the story, Jijo includes not only a fashion mall, but various amusements on its different levels. The second floor features all ages fun with rides, games, and sticker machines, while the third floor sports the latest arcade games for the core gamer. There's also a food court that offers things such as crepes and loaded takoyaki octopus dough balls. Damn, I could go for some octopus balls right now. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna let you all in on a little secret, a little 8PR secret here. We're gonna be ordering some vegetarian, some fake sushi tonight, some maki, and some fusion sushi tonight. It's gonna be great. I'm gonna have so much seafood wrapped in like rice and it's gonna be great. I can't wait. The ground floor and the two basement levels of the building were designed as an amusement area outfitted with skee ball, claw cranes, fighting games, and the like. The second floor held a mix of photo booths and ladies' wear shops. On the third floor were specialty fashion boutiques, and on the fourth were restaurants. Archie and Hitomi took the escalator to the second floor. Hitomi started heading for the shops, but Archie stopped her. Yo, wait up!
What's the matter?
A dude hanging around a woman's clothing store is going to stand out. I'll wait for you here. There seemed to be nobody but female customers around. The man with the cane or the kidnappers appeared. Archie figured he would spot them right away. It should be safe for Hitomi to shop on her own for a short while.
All right, Hitomi said. I'll try to make this quick.
She began to head out onto the sales floor. Woo! A seedy-looking man poked out from beneath the door of the photo booth right at Hitomi's feet. That was a close one, wasn't it, Tama? He said to her. Oh my god, they're like 2 feet away from each other. Thought it was dead meat for sure. His tone was oddly cheerful considering what he was saying. Who's this guy? Archie asked. You know him?
No, I don't.
The sketchy fellow gave her an ingratiating look. Come on, Tama, don't be like that. Hitomi took an anxious step back. Hey man, knock it off. Archie dragged the guy up to his feet. Okay, no need to get all testy. Who is this guy, Tama? Your boyfriend?
Boyfriend?
That's what he was about to say, but Hitomi spoke up first.
No, he's not.
What's your nodder, boyfriend? The guy flashed a broad grin. Hey, listen, you creep. Who the hell are you? I can't believe both of the guys I gave the same voice are in the same scene now. This sucks. Oh, me, The man's face suddenly blanched. Oh, crap. Tama, hold on to this for a bit, will ya? The weirdo shoved a worn-out magazine into Hitomi's hands and bolted off in a panic. The heck was that all about?
Yeah, I wonder why he ran off like that.
The debt collectors are still in the background there. Archie and Hitomi stared at one another. Well, anyway, Archie said, there are a lot of nut jobs out there, so just be careful, yeah?
Okay, if anything happens, I'll give you a shout.
Hitomi flashed him an impish smile and then scampered off onto the sales floor. As he watched her go, Archie muttered to himself, damn it, why does she have to be so cute? "5 minutes or more passed as Archie waited for Hitomi. He stood by the escalator, almost as if he were keeping guard. Female shoppers began to give him icy stares for being somewhere he probably shouldn't be. This sucks. Come on, Hitomi, hurry up and get back here. The longer he waited, the more uncomfortable he felt. How long was she going to take? Then he happened to turn around and see Hitomi riding the escalator up. Looked like she had indeed bought some new clothes. Hey, Hitomi! She didn't seem to hear him. Ooh, so wait, what was the answer that got us? Thought I'd shout a bit louder. Come on, wait up! Hitomi stole a quick look back at him. Where are you going? He called. It's not safe for us to get too separated. Yet she still continued her flight toward the upper floors. Did she not realize it was him or something? Archie hurried in pursuit. Archie followed her, but by the time he reached the top, she was out of sight. This was the restaurant floor, so it was more open than the other levels. A floor designated solely for eateries. Typically, this is the topmost floor of the mall building like Jijo. Those who head up here during morning hours will likely find the place deserted. Gigo restaurant floor features a variety of different cuisines, including Chinese, Italian, creative, Japanese food, sushi, tempura, and other delicacies from around the world. Did that change Maria's? No, it didn't change Maria's, so we picked the wrong one. They both seemed like bad options to me, but we'll keep going for now. He hurriedly began to look around. As he wandered, he bumped into a man talking on his cell phone. Sorry, my bad. Archie held up a hand in an apology, but the man was too engrossed in his conversation to notice. No, you're not getting it. The lock was undone, too. The man startled Archie by suddenly shouting into his phone. You need to consider the risk of getting it out. Whatever this guy was talking about, he sure was angry with whoever was on the other end. Look, I'll figure out what to do about the minivan. You just handle things on your end. Minivan? Archie's interest was piqued, but he needed to find Hitomi before he let anything distract her. As he scoured the 4th floor, he came across a Chinese buffet and noticed the large windows in its outer walls. He could see a lot of Shibuya through those windows. Maybe Hitomi decided to look for the minivan from up here. One of the restaurant employees came rushing up as Archie headed inside. Sir, I'm sorry, she said. Sir, you'll have to forgive the inconvenience. We're not open to the public right now. Not at the moment, I mean. The employee's voice was oddly subdued for some reason. Masai Takei, a part-time staffer at Imabiki Chinese restaurant. Her boss chewed her out pretty bad for showing up at work with her nails manicured black. She was ordered to go to the restroom and scrub them clean, but no amount of nail polish remover was able to do the trick, so she's been dealing with her boss's wrath all day long. Awesome. Thank you for that video. Why not? Archie asked.
See, one of our other customers ate literally all of our food.
They ate all of it. Looking around, Archie saw a chubby young woman camped out at the table by one of the windows. Set out before her was a veritable mountain of plates.
What I'm trying to say, sir, is that we're closed for the rest of the day.
Oh, but I'm with her, actually, Archie lied. Without waiting for a reply, he barged into the restaurant. Took a quick look around, but there was no sign of Hitomi. Before leaving, though, he figured he'd at least take a look out at the windows. The huge glass panes looked out onto Dogenzaka. He had a decent view of the roads, but he didn't spot the blue minivan. Archie dropped his gaze to the sidewalk outside the building. Oh! He let out a tiny gasp. Even from 4 stories up, there was no mistaking what he saw. A group of black-clad foreign men had gathered outside the building. Had they figured out he and Hitomi were inside, he needed to find her, and fast. That video was entirely necessary? You know what? I agree. He raced out of the restaurant, alert for trouble. Keep out. Okay. Well, let's see if did that change anything on... Both of the options seemed bad for not getting him to follow Tama. So, like... Let's try the other one, then. He decided to go after her. Had she forgotten where he was waiting for her? She stayed on the escalator, heading up toward the top floor. Oh, because this way doesn't alert her and make her worried. I see. So we still follow her up here, but we don't make her worried about our presence. I get it. Okay. No, I'll accept that begrudgingly. Okay, Achi's doesn't change from there, though. However, Maria does. How long has that been on for? That hasn't been long, has it? Oh, no. Oh, that's fucking terrible. I thought we solved this problem. Okay, no. I see. So, the reason that my mic had been dropping in recent streams was because of a bad audio connection with the minute or two, maybe? Okay, then I won't worry too much about it. But this one, we now have a new, like, an actual console for audio mixing, and that just became unplugged. So, that's fun. Okay, cool. Yeah, I went back just a few minutes and checked. It still had audio then, so I won't worry too much about it. Thank you for letting me know. I appreciate it.
Feels like I was right on the cusp of remembering something critical. At any rate, it seems like there's some connection between me and the man in the photo. Try as I might, though, I can't recall anything more than that. I try on the shirt I picked out. Yeah, that looks good. I decide to buy it and have the store toss out my torn sweater for me.
It's a good sweater. I like flannel. Flannel's a good look.
So I'm about to go down the escalator. A young man strides up to me as if I'm an old friend.
So this should unlock Achi's route, right? Cool. Let's just keep going with Mario for now, and then we can jump over. There you are. I thought we were going to meet on the second floor.
Wait, to me? What's this guy talking about? I've never seen him before.
Well, anyway, come on. We have to go hide.
Hide? Why do we need to do that? Hide? Why?
Because this guy might have found us. They're outside.
He grabs my hand and I yank it away. Hey, come on, what gives? Is this some new pickup trick or something? Whatever it is, it's way too aggressive. I get the heck out of there.
Hey, hey!
Guy keeps shouting, but I ignore him and try to slip away into the crowd. When I look back, though, I see that he's still following me. What do I do?
Hide somewhere where there are fewer people?
For now, maybe I should just head to another floor. Hurry toward the bank of elevators.
Well, if it isn't Tama, what a coincidence!
It's Yanagashita again. I'm trying to walk by like I don't notice him, but it's already too late.
Where'd your boyfriend go?
Boyfriend? I have no clue what he's talking about.
Anyway, perfect timing. Can you give me back that magazine?
Nothing you're saying is making any sense. I peer at him in confusion. Once again, Yanagashita looks like he might start to cry.
Don't tease me like this. I did give it to you, right?
No, you didn't give me anything.
I get it. You wanted that 100,000 yen all to yourself. So you're playing dumb, is that it?
No, I honestly have no idea what this is all about. But now he's all worked up and getting red in the face.
Look, you might have amnesia, but that excuse ain't gonna fly with me.
The amnesia has nothing to do with it. He doesn't seem to want to believe me no matter what I say.
Come on, just hurry up and give it back. Otherwise I'm gonna start bawling here real loud.
He's gonna cry? Seriously? This guy's a real piece of work.
What's it gonna be? They make a grown man cry.
It would certainly be pretty embarrassing if he starts sobbing now. But I can't exactly give him back a magazine I never had. The elevator doors open.
Well, if it isn't our little entrepreneur, we've been looking for you.
The two thugs from before, and there's no avoiding them this time.
Asawa Ozu and his underling, Yutaro Sagawa, members of the Tenryu Gumi Yakuza Syndicate. Ozu is quite frightening when angry. His nickname is Ozu the Ogre, but despite his strong emotions, he is very logic-driven. Sagawa is the archetypical punk who likes to get into scuffles, but he's also a really good cook. Ladies. Yeah!
The men drag Mr. Yanagashita into the elevator.
Save me, Tama!
He grabs a hold of my hand. Hey, let go of me! Great, now I'm in the elevator too, and the doors are shutting.
Now then, Mr. Yanagashita,
Says the bald-headed man.
there's nowhere else to run.
His tone is polite, but also very foreboding.
Whoa, wait, just hold on, I can get you the money. I'm just about to get loads of it.
Enough of your poppycock, snarls the younger guy.
Balderdash, claptrap, straight-up nonsense, taken from the Dutch poppycock, meaning soft dumb. Good to know. I really mean it this time, please. You have to believe me. I can pay you 100,000 yen right now. 100,000. You're really carrying around that much? Asked the bald man. Not me, the girl. The men turned to eye me in unison. She's holding on to something that's worth 100,000 yen.
Huh? A sudden turn in the conversation has me all flustered.
Tama, please, Yanagashita says. Just hand it over.
I already told you, I don't know what you're talking about. The elevator stops at the first floor and the doors open.
Oh.
Standing on the other side of the doors is the guy I ran into earlier, Hana's father. The bald-headed man snarls.
Toyama! I'll just get the next one. Don't worry about me.
Hana's father bolts like a startled hare. The bald man and his crony stare after him.
Now's my chance, Yanagashita hisses.
He darts out of the elevator and makes a run for it.
Yo, after him, shouts the bald man. After who, him or him?
Just start with Toyama. The two thugs race after Hana's father. They've left me all by myself. Weird enough to think about going after them, but before long I've lost sight of them all. For a long time I just stand there dumbfounded like a hurricane victim lingering in the aftermath. Ugh, what a day this has been. When I finally get my wits about me, I realize I'm pretty hungry. That's right, I didn't get to eat lunch. I head for the 4th floor where the restaurants are. So I don't really want to run into Yanagashita and those other guys again. I decide to take the escalator. As I'm riding it up, I hear commotion coming from the floor below. It's a man's voice shouting angrily.
Out of my way, come on!
I pay the outburst no heed and let the escalator take me up. When I arrive at the 4th floor restaurant section, the sign for a Chinese buffet catches my eye.
Oh, there we go. A buffet is a style of dining where guests serve themselves freely from an array of prepared foods, taking as much of each as they want. Many hotels and restaurants tend to hold buffets at lunchtime or for brunch. Sometimes, however, this just winds up being a kind of cruel trap, with crowded lines making it take forever for you to get even near the food.
Imabiki Chinese restaurant. The name means something along the lines of fire of morning. I guess the fire is important for cooking, but it's kind of an unsettling thing to call an eatery. Oh well, guess this is the name that doesn't really matter. I'm in a mood to straight up devour some Chinese food. When I go to enter, though, I'm stopped by one of the employees. Oh, I'm sorry, miss. I'm afraid we're not accepting any more. Any customers? Not really open, just no, not now. She sounds a little bewildered by her own words. Well, why not? You see, one of our other customers ate all of our food. Someone ate an entire restaurant out of food? Is that even possible? What I'm trying to say, miss, is that we're closed for the day. Go figure. Looks like Mr. Yanagashita's bad luck has rubbed off on me. So I have to look for another restaurant, too. Hold up. It's a kid. Lying idly across the seats in the waiting area at the front of the restaurant is a young girl. Is this the girl that dismal-looking fellow's been searching for? She looks so sad that it makes my heart ache. Can't just leave her here alone. Excuse me, is your name Hana? She looks weary at the question. Your father's been looking for you, I say. Hana ignores me and just stares up at the ceiling. Hey, how about we try to find your dad together? I coax the girl into getting up and then I call out to the restaurant staffer. Excuse me, where should I go to ask them to put an announcement on the PA system? I don't know. Maybe the 1st floor, the security office. Yo, Viv. Right, down we go. And take Hana with me and... Oh, Viv, before you go, does any of that stuff need to get put in the fridge? Okay. I take Hana with me and we get on one of the elevators together.
Don't worry about what's getting fridged over here. Nothing.
Do you know my father? Hana's tone is barely brusque. It's pretty brusque. I don't really know him exactly. Then are you a debt collector? I laugh and shake my head. Would a debt collector be wearing an outfit like this? Hana lets out a deep sigh. So you're just kind of butting in then? Well, yeah, I guess so. Can't help but grin sheepishly. Like something about sad little Hana is stirring some of my lost memories. If I just came out and told her that, though, she'd probably think I was a total weirdo. So I decide to say something else. Guess I'm just the sort of person who can't ignore someone in trouble. You're weird. Hana looks away from me.
Hana calls him like she sees him.
When I get to the security office, I hear voices coming from inside. I wonder what they're talking about. Peeking through a crack in the door, and I see a man with a cane speaking with a security guard.
How many exits are there that lead outside? There's the main entrance on the 1st floor, along with 2 side entrances. Also, there's one on the first basement level and another in the second basement. The security guards...
The security guard spoke with polite precision.
I see.
Says the man with the cane.
I need you to shutter all exits except for the main entrance right away. Understood, sir. Attention all shoppers.
The announcement comes over the loudspeaker.
Due to maintenance, all first floor entrances other than the main entrance have been closed. We apologize for the inconvenience. Customers wishing to leave, please use the main entrance on the first floor.
I'm not sure what just happened, but it sounds like the main entrance is now the only way out. Come on, I say. Let's have them make an announcement for us. But when I turn around, Hana is gone. Must have run off while I was distracted.
Well, looky here, if it ain't that little cutie again.
The two thugs that were after Yanagashita come strolling toward me.
You're a speedy one, huh?
Says the bald man.
Weren't you downstairs just now? And did you change your clothes, too?
He looks me over, seeming impressed.
Hey, hold on, let me see your face.
The younger man grabs me by the wrist.
You know Yanagashita, yeah? Go on and give him a quick little call for us.
He gives me a sharp yank. Let go of me.
Can it, girlie? Just give the man a call. We're all good.
I have nothing to do with that guy.
Do it now.
These guys aren't even listening to me. Now I'm pretty pissed off. I said, I have nothing to do with that guy. I whipped my manhandled arm in a wide arc and sent the younger man flying into a stack of boxes. Guess he must not have been expecting that. He hits hard. The impact knocks him out cold.
Well, who the heck are you?
The bald man asks, his eyes wide. Shut up, I tell him. You're next. I flash a winning grin. He gathers up his fallen friend and drags him away as fast as they can go. Okay, that was pretty strange. Just like when I was fighting Miku. My body seems to know how to pull off all these moves instinctively. Am I a martial artist, maybe? Anyway, I've got to find Hana.
This game is great.
Easier said than done, though. I wander around the building, but I don't see any sign of the girl. Maybe she went back home? Eventually, I slumped down on a bench corner. I wish I could go home, too, I muttered to myself. Something cold presses against my neck. What? Is that what I think it is?
Make a scene and I will slit your throat.
Oh, no, it is a knife. Two foreign men grab me by the arms from either side. In that moment, fragmentary memories flood through my mind. I'm on a street. It looks like someplace in the Middle East. I'm being dragged along by several men. I'm too scared to speak. There are people on the street, market vendors, but none of them seem willing to get involved. The men drag me into some back alley. Help me. Please, somebody help me. I'm being abducted. And then a dark silhouette drops down in front of me. The figure brandishes a knife threateningly at the men.
We are getting some lore here.
The blade moves with dazzling speed. My captors are all down in mere moments. Who is this? Who came to save me? I try my utmost to drag my memories to the surface. It's a girl. That's right, I'm certain of that much. I don't remember her face, but it's a girl younger than me.
Walk faster.
The angry hiss in my ear snaps me out of my flashback. What was that memory just now? I'm more concerned about the girl who saved me than I am about the men who've captured me now. The two thugs march me along, still holding me by the arms.
Can't believe she was in a place like that. Yeah, talking about giving us the runaround.
Can't figure out what they're talking about, but a place like what? Giving them the runaround? Do you know me?
The two men look at each other. Wait, are you the other one?
One of them peers closely into my face. What are you talking about? What do you mean a place like... I stop as a sudden idea comes to me. Hold on, are you talking about that storehouse? The men look utterly confused.
What are you talking about?
One of them asks. I explain that I've lost my memory, and this seems to make them pretty anxious.
We gotta report this.
One of the men takes out his cell phone and makes a call. He informs whoever's on the other end that I've lost my memory. I have no idea what's going on, but based on what I can follow from the conversation, though, seems these were the people who had put me in that storehouse. But why had they done that? One of these guys asked if I was the other one. What could that possibly mean? Could it be? Did they abduct me because they mistook me for someone else? If so, who? The more I try to think, the more muddled this all gets. Calm down, just calm down. Let's think of what we know. What I do know for sure is that I woke up inside that storehouse, and evidently I took a blow to the head, and that's the cause of my amnesia. Oh, that's strange. If these people had kidnapped me before, why wasn't the storehouse locked? Seems pretty sloppy if they wanted to keep someone confined. What could all this possibly mean? Wait, does that mean she went along with them willingly initially? It's no use. I haven't the foggiest. None of this makes any sense at all.
Let go of her.
Hold on. I craned my neck to see who spoke. It's the man with the cane who was at the security office.
Who the hell are you?
One of my captors barks.
I said let her go. Did you not hear?
The man with the cane pulls a gun from his suit pocket.
Get lost. This isn't worth dying over.
The two men take a few steps back and then bolt out of the alleyway. Who are you? My voice trembles slightly.
And guess he's not here.
The man takes a quick look around. Do you mean Mr. Yanagashita?
All that matters is that he's not here.
Gun in hand, the man slowly approaches.
Hitomi Osawa, I know you've done nothing wrong.
What? I feel a jolt of surprise at the name. Hitomi Osawa? Is that my name? His face is a mask of stone, and the man points the gun right at my head.
Please. There are no hard feelings here. Oh, is this the to be continued? Yeah, there it is. Oh, this game fucking rules. All right. How much more do we have left in this particular hour of the game? We haven't even touched Minorikawa yet, which I think is still really funny. Alright, Achi has a keep out there. I think we can jump to him from here, though. What time is it? It's like 2:30. Yeah, we'll go a little longer. Achi took the escalator down to the 3rd floor, and there was Hitomi standing right in the open after he'd been searching for her high and low. There you are. Thought we were going to meet on the 2nd floor, Achi said. She stared back at him in confusion. Oh, well, anyway, come on. We have to go hide.
Hide? Why?
She gave him a dubious look. Achi felt like something was off, but now wasn't the time to dwell on it. 'Cause those guys might have found us, he said. They're outside. He took hold of Hitomi's hand.
Hey, let go. What gives?
She quickly yanked her hand away. Huh? As Achi tried to make sense of the way she was acting, she took off down the corridor. Hey, Hitomi! He hurried after her. It was like changing her clothes had also changed her personality. Still, he couldn't just leave her alone. The kidnappers might well be closing in. He stayed in pursuit of her, trying not to draw too much attention. He lost track of her somewhere near the elevators. What is your deal? Unsure of what else he should do, he headed back down to their rendezvous point on the 2nd floor. When he arrived, he spotted Hitomi heading down the escalator ahead of him. Hitomi! Achi shouted. But his voice vanished into the noise of the crowd, and she disappeared onto the 1st floor. Damn it! Achi rushed down the escalator. He took the steps 2, 3, 5 at a time. He made it to the first floor and looked around. There was Hitomi about to take a different escalator back up. Why is she doing this? He waved his arms to get her attention, but she didn't notice and headed straight back up. Down, up, what the heck is she thinking? Archie sped around and got on the upward escalator. Out of my way, come on! He shoved people aside as he ran up the moving stairs. But he saw no sign of Hitomi when he reached the second floor. He'd lost track of her completely. Oh, come on! This is ridiculous! Archie's shoulders slumped. He felt exhausted, but he kept up his search, scouring one floor after another until he eventually made it down to the second basement level. Had she grown too impatient waiting for Kanan and got off searching for the blue minivan again?
I think I can handle myself from here.
He thought back to what Hitomi had said earlier. Damn it, she's not going to be okay by herself. He pounded his fist into the wall in frustration.
Please stop.
That was Hitomi's voice. Hitomi! Archie moved faster than he could think.
Archie!
She called back. A pair of thugs had grabbed her by both arms. Archie stomped his way towards them. Get your hands off of her! He shouted. Huh? What is it to you, pal? The older of the two, a middle-aged fellow, turned to Archie with a sneer. He looked familiar somehow. Hitomi shook herself free of the men and ran over to Archie. It's no use trying to act tough, buddy. We're just trying to get back what we're owed. Don't make us have to get rough with you. What you're owed? Hitomi, do you owe people money?
No, I don't. They just came after me and started going on about 2 million yen.
She looked just as baffled by the situation as Archie was. If you're going to blame someone, blame your boss, the older man said. He gestured to his lackey. A feral gleam flashed in the young punk's eyes. It was the look of a man who couldn't resist dishing out a beatdown. He brought up his fists and shifted his feet, shadowboxing with a few quick jabs with his left hand. It looked to Archie like the guy was an experienced boxer.
Hold on, Hitomi said. What do you mean by my boss?
Say what? Yanagashita, who the hell do you think? The young punk shuffled closer, fists still menacing. Then his expression changed. Hey. Hold on. Are you Achiendo? Yeah, that's right. Well, ain't that lucky, getting to throw down with you like this? The punk sounded pleased indeed. I've heard all sorts of rumors about you, you know. Let's see how true they are. Archie didn't like his chances in a straight-up fight with a trained boxer. What should he do? Go for broke. He had to go for broke. His best chance was to hope for an opening to deliver a low kick. A kick using the foot or shin to strike the opponent in the thigh, just above the knee. In karate, this is known as a gedan mawashi geri. Since the legs are longer than the arms, this is an effective technique against boxers. He'd need to time it perfectly when his opponent took a step forward. Huh! With a loud breath, the thug shot out his left arm. Now! Archie shifted his stance and unleashed a low kick. Suddenly, the elevator doors opened right nearby. Archie and the punk both stopped in mid-attack. A miserable-looking older man stood in the elevator. At the sight of him, the punk's face went red with rage. You, Toyama! Going up! The man in the elevator hurriedly closed the doors. The two thugs rushed toward him, but the elevator had already begun heading back upward. Come on after him, the older man shouted. The young punk raced up the stairs. You stay right where you are, the older fellow added, glaring at Hitomi. Then he followed her after his lackey. Does he really think we're dumb enough to just wait here? Archie scoffed.
Archie, I've been looking all over for you.
Hitomi gave him an angry swat on the chest. For me? What are you talking about?
You weren't waiting where you said you'd be.
Yeah, 'cause you went up to another floor.
What do you mean? I went right where you said. On the second floor.
Huh? This wasn't quite adding up. The second floor? What are you talking about? You went up to the third floor.
No, I didn't.
Wait, what? None of this makes any sense. Archie felt like his brain was getting scrambled.
Anyway, at least I found you safe safe and sound.
Yeah, the two smiled at one another. How was with those clothes? Hitomi's new outfit was completely different from the clothes she had on earlier.
I tried on a few things and wound up deciding on this.
You tried other stuff on? Okay, that explains it, Archie said. At least now things sort of made sense. That's nice, you know.
What is?
Your clothes, I mean. They look good on you.
Thank you. Wow, I'm actually blushing now.
Kind of made me blush to say it. Archie and Hitomi slyly avoided each other's eyes. Oh, so hey, Archie said, eager to change the subject. Do you still have that magazine?
Oh, right, yeah. I was gonna just throw it away, but I couldn't.
How come?
Haven't been able to find the right kind of receptacle. Newspapers and magazines are supposed to be kept separate from normal trash, right?
Hitomi scanned their surroundings for a suitable bin. Wait, are you serious?
Yeah.
You're thinking about proper recycling now, of all times?
Is that weird?
Uh-oh, I'm in trouble. Think you might just be perfect. Archie found himself blushing even harder now. Tama! A sudden yell snapped him out of his embarrassment. The sketchy-looking fellow who'd given her the magazine was scampering down the stairs toward them. Great, Archie said. The weirdo's back. The man ignored him, though, and leaned in close to Hitomi. Ha 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 ha! You do still have it! He snatched the magazine from Hitomi's hands. Yes, this one hasn't been scratched off yet! The man hunkered down on the floor and began scratching away at a scratch card stapled to the centerfold. Wait, don't let him have that! Another man came swooping out of nowhere and yanked the magazine away. It was the older fellow who'd appeared in the elevator minutes before. You can't do that, that's mine! The sketchy-looking man clutched at the older newcomer. Let go! No way! I said let go! And I said no way! The two were fighting right in front of the exit, keeping Archie and Hitomi from leaving. How do you like this? The older man shouted, scratching away haphazardly at the ticket. Now it's just a worthless scrap of paper. No, my 100,000 yen! Yeah, you mean my 100,000 yen! Nah! And then the middle-aged fellow looked back down at the ticket. Gah! What are the odds? Somehow in his random scratching, he'd happened to land himself a winner. Ah! Give it! No way! The two men took off, engaged in a running battle for the ticket. What was the deal with those two?
I'm not sure.
Archie and Hitomi could only stand there dumbfounded. On the other hand, hey, look at the time, it's almost 3. The two headed hurriedly for the Jijo back entrance. I'm inconsistent between Gigo and Jijo, and I do that on purpose. But just as they were nearing the doors, the shutters dropped down in front of them. Well, what gives? Due to maintenance, all entrances other than the main entrance on the first floor have been closed. We apologize for the inconvenience. Customers wishing to leave, please use the main entrance on the first floor. Archie glared at the loudspeaker. It looked like there was no exit to the back after all. Got a really bad preposition about this.
You mean premonition?
Hitomi had gotten quicker to butt in with her corrections. Holding on to their premonitions, then, the two hurried their way up the stairwell. As Hitomi tried to head out the first floor entryway, Archie yanked her back. Careful!
What's the matter?
It's that guy.
Huh?
Hitomi's expression stiffened. Slipping behind a nearby pillar, Archie pointed to the young man with the cane, who was keenly eyeing shoppers as they came and went. Well, this bites know where we're getting out with him there.
Archie?
Hitomi whispered in his ear.
Behind us.
Archie glanced back and saw the two goons walking in their direction. Uh-oh. If those two caused a scene like before, the assassin would notice them for sure. Aha! The younger punk had spotted them. Damn it, Archie thought, biting his teeth. But the thuggish pair let out a teensy squeak and then darted off in a different direction, vanishing from view. What the heck? Archie and Hitomi watched them go, unsure of what to make of the sudden retreat. Well, anyway, Archie said after a moment, now we can try to find another way out. Taking Hitomi by the hand, he headed back into the shopping area. The back entrance on the first floor, that was a no-go. The other emergency exits were also locked down, which meant that the main entrance on the first floor really was the only choke point in or out. It was almost time for them to meet Kanon. They needed to find some way to bust out of here. The pair headed back toward the main entrance. And then they saw the man with the cane again, heading in their direction. He hadn't seen them yet, but there was no way they could avoid him if they didn't do something quick. Guess for now we gotta go up, Archie said. They started racing up the nearest escalator, which was descending from above. My bad, coming through.
Sorry, please excuse us.
They fought and shoved their way past a stream of people riding in the other direction. They could see the second floor now. Archie figured they'd be in the clear once they got there. But then a large woman appeared at the top of the escalator, heading down. She was the one who'd been in the Chinese restaurant on the 4th floor, the one who supposedly packed an entire buffet into her belly. She was wide enough that Archie and Hitomi would never be able to slip past her. Hey, out of the way! Archie shouted, but the young woman ignored him. Archie tried to push past, but he just bounced off. Oh, come on now, game. They were drifting inevitably back down toward the 1st floor. It was like they were riding a conveyor belt that was delivering them right to the assassin. This was not good. If they didn't do something soon, they'd... Wait a sec. Something must have caught the assassin's eye. Archie saw him suddenly rush outside. There was no telling what had just happened, but now there was a chance to escape. Archie and Hitomi raced out the door. Outside, the man with the cane was nowhere to be seen. Looks like we're safe. Archie let out a sigh. For now, someone said, keep your eyes open. Oh, for now, keep your eyes open. The sudden words made the two turn with a start. Kanon was standing right behind them. She'd gotten this close and neither of them had noticed a thing. She moved with all the skill of an assassin. Archie felt a chill shoot through him. To be continued? To be continued? To be continued. All right. How far are we in this one now, then? Because that should be almost all of the route. Because I think Osawa's Osawa's at a keep out right now, right? All the other three should be... Yeah, we haven't started Minorikawa, and Osawa's at a keep out, and that's probably from Minorikawa's route. Okay, cool. Awesome. I think we'll call it there for the day. Thanks for coming out, everyone. There's a new episode of Two Queers Play in about an hour. It's a return to me playing Touhou 6 with Vivian. If you know, I've been streaming that game a lot, and since we had originally done a Two Queers Play episode of it about a year ago, I decided to sit down with Vivian again and show her kind of how my progress of the game has been. So that'll be coming out in about an hour or so. I hope you look forward to that. That's all I got for you today. The finale of Umineko EP6 will be on Friday. I'll be streaming again tomorrow at the regular time. I will also be doing a midnight stream tomorrow evening. 23rd going into the 24th. For Fire Emblem 3 Hopes. I really want to play that as soon as it comes out, so I will be. So, you know, I guess show up for that if you want to be there for that. It'll be fun. That's all I got for you. I hope you all have a wonderful day. Don't forget to